Huh? Morning, everybody. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Hard to tell. I haven't finished my first cup of coffee yet.
Oh, you haven't even finished the first one? Ooh, yeah. Make sure you get loaded up here.
I'm sure your presentation will be titillating, and I'll stay awake just on that.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. We'll have to see at the end there too. You may have to put in a couple of Red Bulls and a couple more cups of coffee just to.
Oh dear.
But hey, we'll find out at the end. I'll let you judge that at the end. How about that? So
good.
Good morning, everybody. How are you guys?
Morning.
Gary, how you doing?
I'm well. Are you Darren?
Yes.
Ah, okay, because this says KW New England.
Yeah, let me change it.
So I'm here to help you. And are you going to be sharing your slides, or do you want me to share the slides? I assume you, so you can keep track of it, or how do you want to do it?
I've got the slides up already.
Okay.
So certainly I can handle that part of it. Not a big deal. Not a problem. So.
Okay, I'll keep tabs on the chat and whatever you need me to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that comes up, just interrupt if there's a question that's pertinent to what we're saying. Definitely let me know. Okay.
This is my most exciting one. I love Ignite open houses. This is how I used to earn my bread and butter. That's 100% of my clients came from open houses.
Beautiful. There you go. There you go. And they see the sign in the back there. So that's, that's really good.
Oh yeah.
You got that all set up. Nice. I'm going to grab some water. I'll be right back.
Are y'all from the New England region, or is anybody from outside New England here today? I guess everybody's New England. Awesome.
What office are you from, Darren?
I'm actually in Central Connecticut. We're Keller Williams Greater Hartford, and now we're rebranding to Keller Williams Legacy Partners. How about you?
Portsmouth. I live in Rochester, which is just north of there.
Nice.
Gary, where are you from?
Framingham. Actually, it's called Boston Metro West. Before that, I worked in the Westboro office as an agent. I'm the Ncaa here. And before the Westboro office, I was a buyer's agent in our Charlotte, North Carolina office for a team.
What is an Ncaa agent?
MCA, Market Center Administrator. So the team leader and I I handle anything that touches agents, whether it's training, helping with money, helping with issues. And then the team leader is the other half of recruiting and coaching. So the two of us, Jim Keenan and I, run this office, the business part of it.
Cool.
Hey, is anybody here from Rhode Island?
Yes, I am.
Who?
I am.
Can you email me? I actually have a client that's looking, and I need to find an agent down there. So I was going to put it in the book. Can you email me? I'll put my email in the chat as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about that? Getting some referrals right off the bat, first thing in the morning. Can't start off Tuesday any better than that, right? Nice job. Nice job. So before we begin, does anybody have any good things that happened to them yesterday? Maybe after Ignite from yesterday, anything good happened? So we can start off on with some good news here. Anybody have anything?
Somebody's got to have something great.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They're all counting their appointments, Darren. Give them some time.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Thanks. That's good point, Tim. Good point.
This is Jessie LaRue. I met with a $3 million listing on Saturday, and yesterday they called me and said they're going to list with us.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
That's fantastic.
So that was a good day.
Yeah, I'll say very good. That's a hell of a day right there. That's great. Nice job. Nice job. What was the conversation like? What was probably the one thing you think that got them to sign with you? Do you remember?
Yeah, they mentioned yesterday on the phone that they really liked our marketing plan. $3 million I'm in Portland, Maine. It's in Yarmouth. So $3 million is pretty much one of the highest listings you can get in this area. They really liked our marketing plan. And then on top of that, my dad and I are a team together, and they liked the father-daughter team. He has 3 daughters, and he could really relate to that.
Wow. There you go. See? You got that rapport building, that personal connection with them. So that's fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Very good. Don't let anybody else get intimidated by that. If you had something good that happened, even if it's on a smaller scale, definitely share it with us here.
Morning, Darren.
Hey, Erin, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Can you make me the host? And I'm going to take us to Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Gary, I know I saw. Oh, there you are. I'm like looking on the screen.
The big
Gary,
red one.
Yay! You're going to help with the chat today, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So what? I'll make you a co-host, and then I'll be quiet.
Okay, you are now the host, so you are good to go. So what else? Anybody else have anything good that happened?
I'll jump in. My kid just got accepted to college in Maine, so I might be buying an investment property in Maine, I guess. I don't know.
Congratulations. That's great. That's great. Which college in Maine?
Huston University in Bangor.
Wow. Great location. Very nice.
It's Maine. We're from the South, so we're kind of still adjusting to all this cold.
Definitely a different environment at that point. But
yeah.
That's great, though. That's good. Great location. Really nice. Do they have a major selected yet, or do they know what they want to do for a career?
It does. Virtual reality and graphic design. So when a company goes in, an architect will go in and design a building. This major goes in and designs the interior of the building for functionality, I guess.
Yep.
His first class is augmented versus virtual reality. That's already above my pay grade.
Well, if you're going to get into anything toward the future, that's a perfect career right there. So congratulations. Good for him.
Very excited.
Yeah. That is the future right there. Maybe we could actually do some virtual reality open houses too. Probably get to that point. Maybe you can help with that. You know?
Well, we've done a bunch of that in our office where we've had Facebook Live open houses, and we can probably jump into that and talk throughout the time, where our agent is, you call in and it's basically like a Zoom, and whoever has a question, the agent walked to that part of the house, gave tours, just basically kept walking around the house.
Yeah. And
it cut down first-time traffic, and the people that came in were actually more interested because they've already seen the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that agent actually had a couple of offers, I think 3 offers that came in from people that did the tour on the house through Zoom. I sound like my parents, through Zoom, because they kind of already had a feel for the layout. They knew it worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to say, can you point the camera out the front door to see what it looks at? So it really honed in on the potential buyer for the house. It was great.
Terrific. Yep. That might be the thing in the future. At least it's the thing in the near term right now. So that's excellent. You know, way to be versatile. Good.
Yeah, we have a younger team in our office. When I say younger, they're all high school friends that are now in their early 20s, and they all still close, and they are the epitome of technologically advanced. They don't print open house sheets anymore. They have one of their team members at the front door with a QR code, and you just scan and everything's on your phone. And at the same time, they've gotten it where it hooks up it dumps the information right into Command and makes a contact right away. So this way, at the end of the day, after your open house, what do? You follow up. So they already have everybody in there, and they're able to follow up much more accurately.
Well done. Wow, that's great. That's great. Yeah, no more, killing trees with printing out paper. Everything is done virtually. And the QR code, you package everything into one file. They got access to it there. That's great. Very good. All right. So Amy just posted, my husband and I managed to sell our home in the thick of COVID last April, May, through making a video and sharing it to potential buyers through YouTube. Nice. There you go. Everybody's getting creative. That's the way you have to be here. All right. I know we are posting, Aaron's posting the participant guide for today. I'm actually going to put in my contact information for anybody who is interested or anybody that wants to reach out at some point here. And I'll do it again at the end of the class. So any questions that come up, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to. Gary, I don't know if you want to put your information in there as well too, just so that
it's up top already.
Oh, there you go. Yep, perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Good. All right, so why don't we get started here? We are actually going to be talking about open houses. Open houses are actually an integral part of your work as a real estate agent. In terms of you building up your business and building up everything that you have, open houses play a very critical key. And even in the midst of everything that's going on with the pandemic and all of that, there's still ways to actually hold these open houses that we've talked about, and still ways to actually incorporate them in as part of your lead gen strategy. So let me just introduce myself. My name is Darren. I am the productivity coach of Keller Williams Greater Hartford. We're now being rebranded as Keller Williams Legacy Partners. I've been a productivity coach for 2 years here at KW, and really, it's been there just so that I can help other agents to essentially get into business and not have to stumble and fall like I did for the longest time when I first started, when I was with another company. Really, if you have the support and you have somebody behind you that can show you the right way to do things so that it's not trial and error and you're blowing up deals just because you don't know what's going on, it's great to have that. That's why having the coaching program here at KW, the comprehensive program that they have here, you're never going to find this at any other firm. I mean, trust me, looking at other firms and talking to other firms, no other company has this. So you can actually get spoiled. If this is your first experience with real estate, you can actually get spoiled with what you have here versus going somewhere else, walking in the door and having them say, hey, thanks for coming, appreciate it. Let us know when you have a lead. That's pretty much what it is. So, Gary, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Gary Solvolo. I'm the Market Center Administrator here in Framingham, Boston Metro West. I was an agent before being an Ncaa for about 7 years. I was a buyer's agent for a luxury home team in Westboro for 3 years. And before that, I was a buyer's agent helping a team form in our Charlotte, North Carolina Market Center. Married, 2 kids, kid about to go to college. I live in Westboro. I love real estate. I love open houses. I think it's the best way to quickly get clients. And like I said earlier, I typically would get close to 100% of my business through open houses. So there you go.
Proof positive right there. Can't go wrong with that, right? So I'm actually going to share my screen here before we begin. Before we start here, anybody have any ahas or anything that they want to share from some of the earlier sessions that we've had? I mean, we're on to the elemental section where we're now going to actually get into the whole lead generation and building your business. But does anybody have any ahas that they want to share, at least at this point? I'm sorry, is my mic working? Can everybody
I-
hear me? I just want to make sure that. Okay?
We
So,
hear
You can
ya.
unmute. You can unmute and share.
yeah.
Let us know how well we're doing, guys.
Actually, I'm enjoying all this. It's
I
very.
have a quick aha if you don't mind me sharing.
Yeah. No, actually, no. Sorry, you can't share at this point. We're done. Forget about it.
The
Too
window
late. The
is
window
closed.
closed.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
It's the simplest aha, and I kind of feel a little bit like an idiot thinking about it. But like yesterday, we had our Ignite class about marketing, and it was a brief explanation about on how to kind of mess with command, go into it, create social posts, landing pages, and whatnot. And I went in after and I started messing with it, and I started to realize, like, wow, Tim is not kidding. Like, he's not just like a funny guy. He's being so serious, and like Aaron is being serious too. Like, we literally have the tools to succeed. It is literally within us to utilize them. Like, we have no excuse but to use these tools that we have to succeed. And it's all dependent on us. Like, just like how our instructor yesterday was saying, I'm sorry, my dog's in the back. Just like our instructor was saying yesterday that you're not going to be perfect at it, but you need to mess with it to gain confidence with it. And I started yesterday, and it was like a very, very big aha. I'm like, wow, I've like been procrastinating about it, putting it off, but it's literally just all about taking that action and taking that initial step and start using it. So that's my big aha.
You know, as a fellow coach, I can certainly appreciate that, because I can't tell you how many times that you sit there with folks in your coaching program and you say about 100, maybe 200 times something that whatever it may be. And then somebody says it once, somebody else says it once, and they're like, oh my God, that's life-changing right there. Okay, great, fantastic. I don't care how you get it, but as long as you get it, but that's great. So I can certainly relate to that, but good, great aha. Certainly appreciate that. What else? Anybody else want to share something else? Why don't we have one more?
Adriel, that was Sarah Herder yesterday, by the way, who was our instructor. She was phenomenal, as always,
Good.
with
She's
marketing.
excellent. Very good. What else? One more aha. Boy, oh boy. Caffeine, we need caffeine. What do we got? Awkward silence. All right, that's what we have. All right, so why don't we jump into going into open houses, okay? Hopefully there'll be something that we can glean from here at this point, okay? So today, all right, by doing open houses, we're going to be talking about another way that we can actually lead gen for our buyers and for our sellers, okay? Open houses should be an integral part of your lead generation strategy, okay? This is basically one of the steps that successful agents do pretty much on a regular basis. They have 1, 2, maybe even 3 open houses a weekend that they're either holding for their listings or they're going on and doing for other listings, whatever it takes. But it's actually a very, very important part of your business. I mean, you talk to Gary got practically 100% of his business from open houses. We actually have a member of our organization who comes in and trains our agents on open houses because he was getting 80% of his business in the first 2 years from open houses. All right. They are important. And again, open houses, the way that we do it at KW, all right, this isn't showing up 5 minutes beforehand, sitting there reading a book, and then leaving right at the time that the open house is over. There's a lot more to it than that. Okay. And we're going to go through all of that today. All right. So benefits. What are some of the benefits of doing an open house? All right. And doing an open house, who are you targeting? Are you targeting buyers or are you targeting sellers? Who wants to answer that?
You're targeting both.
Buyers.
Both.
Both.
Good question.
Yep. Trick question. Absolutely. So we know that buyers are in the market and they go to open houses, right? But how would we be targeting sellers by doing that?
If the buyer might be selling their home as well.
Absolutely. Buyer might be selling their home. And if we play our cards right and we do all the steps that we should for what's considered a 7th level open house, we're talking to the neighbors. We're getting them interested in the open house and we're asking them too, hey, have you ever thought of selling? Right? Do you know of anybody else in the neighborhood who might be selling? And open houses are so easy because number one, you've got a captive audience. If you go out, you door knock and you talk to the neighbors around there, right? You've got people that'll most likely talk to you. When you're at the open house, you got people that are coming to you. It's very easy. They're coming to you, okay, without you having to do anything. Can't get any easier than that, right? All right, so with open houses here, all right, has anybody hosted an open house, at least at this point? Anybody shadowed anybody with an open house? All right. Anybody have a story from an open house that they've gone to that they want to share?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I basically had open houses. That was how I started.
Yep.
This was before COVID.
Mhm.
And I had homes that were, I call them dead dogs. So they were on the market for a long time,
Mhm.
maybe 5 months, 7 months, 11 months, something like that.
Okay.
And I would do open houses week after week after week.
Yeah.
And my one thing that I've learned since then is I didn't do the follow up with
Mhm.
all of those folks immediately,
Yep.
which is an opportunity that we have today using command.
Mhm.
But from the open houses, I gained confidence because I hadn't been in real estate for a long time. It was a paper environment.
Yeah.
So to
Yep.
navigate, the technology was a big hurdle for me.
Mhm.
But I've come around. And so there was one open house in East Falmouth. I live on the Cape. And the home had multiple, they had offers, and the seller kept rejecting because they wanted a fixed price. The house wasn't really worth it.
Mhm.
But from that, I had folks that came in that I followed up, and I ended up working with them. And so I had 2 home sales from that.
Nice. Very
And
good.
then, yes, and then I had the buyer who came in
Mhm.
one day and said, "Oh, there's too many people there. I'll come back on Monday," and signed an offer on the home that had been on the market for like maybe 12 months.
Wow.
And then I also had someone else who um, called me back
Mhm.
and wanted to about a listing. So it was just that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
And
Right.
another one, I worked with a partner just recently
Yeah.
back, and this home has been on the market for, it was a home in Woods Hole that was more of a construction site. And it was very like a unique home, postmodern, contemporary.
Mhm.
You had to walk across a catwalk to get to the other side of the home.
No kidding.
And yeah, so it got to the point that I thought this isn't really safe to be in here. I need somebody else to like help me,
Right.
and we did. So we kind of like tag team, and
Good.
we got some follow ups from Woods Hole folks looking,
Mhm.
and we found buyers. And now that home, and you'll see it, they're going to be promoting it. It's a fabulous home, and we got the buyers for it. And so for me, it was like a heart thing because I was very attached to it.
Good. Excellent. Wow, those are some great stories. That's really good. But all of them, from there, a lot of good things have happened and good learning experience as well too. And
Yep.
that's the key
Yep.
thing is when you do these open houses, that's a great way to gain experience. I mean, first open house that I went to was basically a foreclosure, and I happened to be pulling up, and the neighbors came out because they thought that I was actually breaking into the house. But I could have got a chance to meet him, going door to door and talking to him. They came out to me. I didn't have to go out to them, so that was good. But you're going to see these open houses. There's so many different stories that you get. There are going to be open houses where you go there and maybe one person shows up. Then there'll be open houses where, over 20 or 30, 40 people show up at that point.
That's right. That's right.
You go into some houses and there's no heat and it's in the middle of winter and you're having an open house. So you're bundled up. And then there are times too in summer where there's no air conditioning. But, and you're going to have good houses and unique houses and bad houses, but everything is an experience. But
Yeah.
the key thing is just to make sure that you're interacting with the folks that come in, that you
Yeah.
have the follow-up and that you're prepared. Okay. Preparation is huge. We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have everything in place for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I find that the most important thing that I feel is that you're in a home and they're coming to that home.
Yeah.
And it's how you greet that person immediately that you focus and have that smile and that eye contact, and that you are not just jumping on them.
Right.
And I just be very comfortable. So for me, it's just like, come on in, and being warm and inviting. And that's how I approach open houses.
Good. Yeah. Well done, Muriel. Nice. Very, very good. Very good. Thanks for sharing that too. Appreciate it. Awesome.
Do that.
All right, so we've got some benefits to doing an open house, right? Number one, it's inexpensive, really. We don't have to spend a lot of money to do an open house. Maybe it's a couple of bucks out of our pocket. We'll talk about that, right? So, something like this, doing an open house, if we can actually have people coming to us, that's a great way to do it. We got high ROI and exposure, right? If we do this right, if we actually get the word out there starting very early, we're going to talk about that in preparation. And we let everybody know what's going on. We talk to the neighbors and we're posting it on social media, right? We get that exposure out there. I mean, think about it. If we're not spending a lot of money to do the open house and we get even 1 or 2 clients that come out of that sign with us, right? I mean, the return on investment on that is huge, right? And we get qualified leads from one listing. Think about this. You get 2 or 3, even 4 people that come in that you follow up with, maybe get 10 people that you follow up with, right? Those are an additional 4 to 10 people that you added to your database just in 1 2-hour period. Think about that. And even if one of those pans out, I mean, that's great. You can't get better than that. You really didn't have to exert much energy and you've got people that are coming in. And it's a great way to meet buyers and sellers. We just talked about that, right? We're going to be interacting, yes, with buyers that are coming in, all right, but we're also going to be interacting with sellers. Now, when we're going out and we're doing our lead gen, you learn this early on, okay? There's 2 types of lead gen that we do. There's prospecting, right, where we're reaching out to folks one-to-one and we're having conversations with them, right? And there's 6 different ways that we can do that. So there's calling, there's texting, email, old school mail, there's social media, and then the old-fashioned way, which is face-to-face. So face-to-face, having this go on, assuming that we are doing that face-to-face, we could be doing it virtually, like Gary had mentioned earlier, right? But having those ways of prospecting where we can actually reach out and have those conversations with people, it's great. And the dynamic is different. When you're face-to-face with somebody, all right, those conversations tend to go differently than they would if you were talking to them on the phone, right? If we're calling expireds and for sale by owners, right? That's a little different than it is when we're meeting folks that are face-to-face, all right? And we can have some serious success with this. One of the stats that they have mentioned here in the book that we have is that the Ncaa, they had a 2019 profile of home buyers and sellers. They said 51% of all buyers, okay, used an open house as their source of information when they were searching for homes, okay? So even if you have some of those open houses where maybe you get a couple of people, you don't get much turnout, right? Okay, doesn't matter. There are prospective buyers there are people that are actively engaging in the process of looking for real estate, right? So we want to maximize that as much as possible. Right? And here's the thing too, all right? If we don't have listings right now to do an open house, what can we do?
Go to other open houses?
We can go to other open houses? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If we've got extra time, certainly do that. But what else can we do if we want to host an open house?
Ask other agents in your market center.
Yep, ask other agents. You got it, right? If you take a look at the KW culture, right? KW culture is all about sharing and collaboration, right? And if I'm an agent and I've got 10 listings, if somebody calls me up and says, hey, can I do an open house at your property this weekend? I'm going to say, hey, have at it. Go right ahead. Do what you have to do, right? It's additional marketing for them, additional, ways to get that house sold. And if you do the open house and you get a buyer and they get to sell the house, it's a win-win for everybody that's involved, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so open house prospecting model. We're going to go over the whole process that's here. Okay, we're going to make sure that we understand how to prepare, how to prospect, how to pursue the leads that are there. Most importantly, follow up. Okay, there's a lot that goes into doing an open house. All right. More often than not, if you're prepared and you show people how much of a professional you are and that you have the information there and that you're going above and beyond to provide that service and show that, you can really get a lot of business from this. And you can use this as one of your number one areas for lead generation because that's our business right now, right? Everything that we do right now is lead gen. I'm not sure how many of you actually have, enough business that you're satisfied, at least at this point. But if we don't, okay, lead gen is the way to go. And even if we do, we've got to constantly lead gen. That's part of our business. Perfect way to be doing this. All right. Now,
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's say I go to the Portsmouth office and check and see who has open houses. And first shadow them and then hold them or volunteer to hold them yourself.
Yeah.
Any leads that you get from that? Who gets the leads? The person that you're doing the open house for, or
Well, that's a conversation you need to have with the agent, the listing agent. I mean, more often than not, okay, if you're doing that agent a favor, then they should give those leads to you. If you're shadowing them, what I've seen and what I've actually communicated to the folks that I know is that those leads get split evenly, okay, if somebody's shadowing. If somebody is actually hosting on another agent's behalf and actually going through the legwork, then they do deserve to get those leads.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've got to have that discussion with the listing agent. Just make sure you're clear about those expectations before you go and do that so that there's no surprises, you know, at the end.
Okay.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So another really good thing to do that I found very useful, of course, you need to have that conversation ahead so no one's feelings are hurt, no one's thinking something that's not going to happen. But what's great is if the buyer comes in and you're hosting an open house for another property, somebody else's listing, what is a really good idea would be let the listing agent know that you're going to talk to everyone that comes in, and anyone that has a buyer's agent that's represented, you're not going to go after them because they're represented, but you should be taking that information when they sign in and find out who their agent is and pass that to the listing agent. So then the listing agent can follow up with the buyer's agent to see if that's a viable option for their client. So this way you're doing a very nice thing by helping the seller, you're helping the listing agent, but you're also giving the listing agent some information. You could take the unrepresented buyers, you're giving the represented buyers information to the listing agent. You're really working to sell the house as well as working to get yourself a new buyer client.
Yeah.
And then when people start seeing that you do that, of course, they're going to want you to cover their open houses.
That's an excellent point right there. If you do a terrific job at that open house, you know, who do you think they're going to turn to in the future to list, you know, to work open houses on their listed property, right? They're going to reach out to you. We try to make it a point in our market center that, you know, if there are folks who are really in our coaching program who are really good at the open houses, right? They get their name out there and they've got a lot of people that are contacting, trying to get them to do open houses each and every weekend. So there's no shortage of properties for them to have an open house with. So if you get good at it, you get the reputation, you know, until you get your listing inventory up, I mean, you could actually be the go-to person when it comes to open houses in your market center. Okay. So here is basically the process, everything that's involved in preparing an open house. All right. This is basically the prospecting model right here. Okay. Number one, it's essential that we prepare, right? Again, like I said, you don't just show up 5 minutes beforehand and leave right on time and just sit there, you know, twiddling your thumbs, reading a book or anything like that, right? There's a lot that goes into this. We start very early in the process. Okay. Number two, right? We want to prospect. Prospect is key. All right. When we're putting together everything we have here, if we just didn't tell anybody about it, we had an open house, how well do you think that's going to go? Right. We're doing this for the benefit of obviously selling the house, but also to take as many prospects as we can and add them to our database. There's somebody out there that we can help. They've already indicated that they're looking for help just by the fact that they're showing up at the open house, right?
Right.
And then pursue, right? So pursue. We want to follow up as much as possible. And we talked about that. Muriel was talking about that in her experience. The follow-up is where you're going to get the most of the activity, all right? Right? There are going to be some people that are there for the purpose of seeing that house, okay? But there are some people that are just beginning the process. And if we follow up with them on a consistent basis, right, those follow-ups are going to turn into something that's going to be worthwhile for everybody down the road. So the follow-up, fortune's in the follow-up, right? Okay. Now, we will say, too, that if you are reaching out to folks and you're talking to folks to promote your open house, okay, anything having to do with calling, okay, make sure that you're taking into account the Do Not Call Registry, all right? And this is something that you want to have a talk with folks in your market center, your broker, your productivity coach, your team leader, your assistant team leader. Just make sure you're following the regulations, okay? Make sure that we're not violating that because that's a very expensive error if you happen to do that, all right? Make sure that you get phone lists that have been run through the Do Not Call Registry. You can check with your market center about that, but just make sure we're not violating anything in that the Do Not Call Registry, okay? All right. So preparing, all right, setting up for success. Now, KW used to have an open house model that we called the 7th level open house, all right? And the point of that was that we had 7 levels of marketing, prospecting, and promotion when it came to doing an open house, okay? And you're going to see that this process starts early, starts very early. So you want to line up your open house most likely on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening for the following week. So if you're going to reach out to an agent, talk to them about, hey, get that set up early, let them know, and start working on the process of beginning how you're going to do this, right? Okay? Because again, we're going to start really early getting as many people as we can in here. So we're starting about a week, week prior to this. So let's take a look at this, right? We start on Monday, all right? What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we lock down whatever the house is that we're going to be doing for the open house, all right? We're going to start preparing our materials, all right? We're going to start to sit there and get everything together. We're going to ask the other agent, what do I need to know about this home? All right, is there anything on there that you think might be unique, that's not there in the disclosures, that's not there in MLS? Is there a story behind this that maybe the clients have that I can tell to show the value of this property? Why did they buy the house, right? What do they like most about it? Things like that that aren't necessarily captured in disclosures or in, MLS, anything like that, right? Right. Number two, on Tuesday, right? We're going to start posting online, right? We want to get the word out there. We can go into designs, and they've got so many open house flyers that are in there that we could put together a template, and we could put in all the details, and we're going to go into our business page. We're going to post from our business page. We're going to share it to our personal page, and then we're going to have everybody that we know share it from there. All right. We want to get as many eyes in the door and feet on the floor when it comes to the open house. And the more people we go to and the more people we share it with, right, that's going to help us to get the word out. And of course, everybody who's out there are basically our social media family, as you want to call it, right? They want to see us succeed. They want to see us do well. So of course they're going to share that, right? And then we're going to start to figure out the neighborhood and the neighbors that are in there. And we're going to come up with a list of all the folks that are around there. We want to do anywhere from 25 to 100 homes that are around there and start preparing to reach out to those folks, okay? Now, if you're able to call them and you can scrub their numbers through do not call registry, you can do that, all right? You can also go out and you can door knock, and we'll talk about that. We'll be doing that later on in the week. But you want to start preparing for what that neighborhood is like and what's going on in there, okay? On Wednesday, we're going to post it again, right? Why shouldn't we post it? Unless somebody's looking at social media 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they might have missed it the first time. So we want to put it out there again to reinforce it, right? We want to put it out there so that everybody knows what's going on. They can see the details. They understand the timing, all of that, right? Thursday, again, we can post it online, all right? We can start letting everybody know we're going to be out there. I've seen some people too put together a Facebook Live video saying like, hey, join me this Sunday. We're going to have an open house at 123 Main Street. It's a popular address out there, but we're going to have an open house this Sunday from 11 to 1. Feel free to come by, get a tour of the house, beautiful home, give a few details, things like that. Put it out there as well, okay? Make sure that everybody's aware of it. Send out an email to those folks that are in your database. Let everybody know what's coming up, right? Okay, a lot of preparation that goes into that. Start preparing what it is that you're going to have in terms of the materials too. You don't want to wait to the day of or the day before, right? There are things that you want to have with you. We're going to talk about what that's all about there as well, all right? On Friday, start reaching out, okay, to potentially other agents that are having open houses in the nearby area. Maybe you can group those together. Maybe what you can do is you can have a little tour that you can talk about where, hey, thanks for stopping by, our house here. Just to let you know, there's 3 other agents, on this street and this street and this street in the local area that are also having open houses. So here's some directions. Feel free to stop by there, but reach out to them. Maybe you want to reach out to another agent who can actually help you if you suspect it's going to be busy, all right, for safety and for helping to answer questions. You can reach out to a lender or maybe a stager. Maybe they can partner with you. Lenders are terrific for that because what they'll do is they'll actually put together marketing flyers for you that you can have on hand or that you can post online that talk about their lending programs, okay, and what it would mean for the particular house that you have there for the open house. All right, so just some ideas that are there. Now on Saturday, the day before, again, we're continuing to promote this online. We're going to be putting signs out. All right, we're going to be putting directional signs. Let's put out balloons. Let's get some of the big signs that you see behind Gary right there, and the nice tall open house signs, whatever it may be, okay? Anything like that, all right? We want to get out there. We want to let people know that it's coming, all right? Saturday might be the day, too, that you start walking around the neighborhood and you're talking to folks. You can either do it Friday, Saturday, or maybe the morning of the open house. And this is where you're going to have a conversation with the neighbors. We'll talk about that in a second as well, okay? Let them know that there's an open house and things that are going on. Make sure that they're prepared for it, okay? All right? And If you've got flyers that you can leave in and around the neighborhood, do that as well, right? But really start to get ready, okay? So we talk about preparation, that's a full week event. If you're looking at your time blocking schedule and you're going to use open houses as one of your main sources for lead gen, you want to incorporate this time into your schedule. You want to start planning this well in advance, okay? So what are some things too? Has anybody done anything, or have you heard anything or seen anything, maybe things that I missed that are all part of the preparation process? Anybody have any ideas or thoughts or things that they've seen?
I'll jump in again. I always jump in.
Perfect.
So
Keep going.
kind of one-upping when you talk about preparing throughout the week. I would always find what other homes are for sale in that area and call the realtor up and try to get them to do it because it's more forceful, like you said.
Yeah.
But what I like to do is I would change the pics. I do Facebook posts or Instagram or whatever. I wouldn't put the same picture up every single time. I would change it. I would put a picture of the kitchen, a picture of something special. So it doesn't look necessarily like it's the same house, but you're getting different opportunities to draw somebody in. They might think something's really kind of cool. But what I like to do I like to walk the neighborhood. I would go 5 houses to the left, 5 houses to the right of my subject property. And I knock on the door and I introduce myself not to sell them, but to let them know I'm the realtor that's selling your neighbor's house. Here's my card. Here's my cell phone number. If you have a problem, please call me, meaning letting them know if there's an issue with people walking around or a realtor not being courteous. I'm here for you. I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of. And I give them my card and I tell them to invite their friends as well. But there's different touches you can do on your, depending upon your comfort level, really. But I like to make sure everyone knows who's selling that house and how they all can get a hold of me. And it's really just so they know my name, as opposed to, no one's ever complained about a realtor to me. But all the neighbors have my contact. So
that's a good thing too. You're not being intrusive, you're being informative at that point. And you say, hey, listen, we're looking out for our clients. You have a listing here. If you see something and it's an issue, definitely let us know, right? Again, that's reinforcing the fact that you're caring about your client. And you're offering to, help them out too if they can. So that's excellent. Thank you, Gary.
Gary, do you use those as possible contacts so that you never know, those 10 people may?
Well, no, I'm not going to delve into, I'm coming to your door, I'm going to get your contact information. I'm doing it more of, hey, this is who I am, because they're going to get a postcard or two from me when the house sells anyway, because you're going to follow up with the neighbors when you sell something. But I'm trying not to get them to be defensive. I want them to know if you have a problem with, somebody looking around the house different times, or a realtor is parking on your yard, here's how you get a hold of me. I don't want them to feel that I'm saying one thing, but my intent is something different. I want to come across really genuine. Like, I am here for my client. I bust my butt for my client, and I don't want the neighbors to get pissed off, because that makes the whole process sticky. So here's my card. Here's my cell phone number. If you're having an issue with somebody showing, not being respectful for you, please call me, and I will call the realtor that's dealing with that. So I'm not really putting them in my contacts. That's not the purpose that I do that for. Typically, I do get these people to come in during the open house. They just come by and say hello. And that's kind of when I snag it. Because I do ask them, whoever comes in, the owners really prefer to have everybody sign in. Even if you're not looking, no problem. But we just need to keep a track of who's been coming in.
COVID. I have a quick question.
And then I put them in my database from that point.
I have a quick question. Hey, guys.
Yep.
In terms of structuring an open house in different ways, can you design it to where before the home hits the market that you have an exclusive open house to just your baits? You'll reach out to all the realtors and just kind of bring them to the home before it hits the market and see if maybe you can just pull a buyer from their network before it even gets, before even kind of drop it onto the market and everyone gets to see it.
So a broker's open house essentially is what you're talking about there. Yeah. I've done that. Me personally, I've done that a couple of times, and it doesn't really go over too well, because 9 times out of 10 realtors are busy during that time, whenever you have it. you're offering food, so they're just there to come by and grab some food. They can see the house on MLS. They don't need to do the tour of it, or they would basically direct their clients there. So I don't think those are as popular as they used to be, unless somebody else has different experience. Gary, I don't know if you have what your experience has been, but.
Well, there's another brokerage that does broker opens every Thursday in the town of Natick. So we're actually jumping on the bandwagon. We have a new listing that just came on within the market in Natick. And it's honestly, it's a brand new agent who's been here a week. She has a $1.5 million listing. So we're trying to kind of guide her in different opportunities. So she's doing a broker's open, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. We'll see. Last Thursday, I heard there was a bunch that not too many people went to, but I'll know a little bit more this week. But not too many people are doing it because, like Darren was saying, and I hate to kind of belittle us all, but to get a realtor somewhere, you need to give them food. And to be quite honest, in the days of COVID, I don't know that I'm going to want to bring food into an open house. But that was pretty much how we'd always get the most brokers in, because we did broker opens every week, and we had our vendors pay for really great food. So we always had people coming in, but I don't think I've ever gotten much out of that aside from networking with other agents, which is always good. And it didn't cost me anything.
It sounds like if it was going to be effective at all when it was working, maybe the higher price tag homes is where you were having the luck with it more than, the middle down, if anything.
Well, a lot of my higher price homes, I would get a lot of agents coming in just to learn the market. And I didn't really get a lot of the $1 million, realtors coming in and saying, oh, great, I'm going to bring my buyer in now. I don't know. I didn't really find much value with the broker opens lately. It was great for my client because they loved the fact that I was bringing in catered lunch for, 20 realtors. So, we never really had an issue selling the properties. But I don't think it really worked that well. It's great for your client and for your reputation and for people to get to know you, but I don't think it did that much.
Yeah, I think there's more efficient uses of your time. It's great for the client's benefit, but all it is like just basically a showcase for the home, but you don't get serious realtors. The serious realtors are out there with their clients, and their clients are going to tell them, we want to see this house, and they want to do it when they have the time to look through it. It's not going to be when there's other agents around or, that just not the best use of your time, at least at this point.
I have a quick question about open houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I logged on a little late, and I apologize if you've already answered this question, but because of COVID, I've been looking, on the MLS and just at different listings to get a feel for where things are. And I've seen a lot of appointment only for showings. Are we still at that point, or are we back to the old days where the open house is kind of a come one, come all type of approach now?
I think it depends on your client. Depends on their comfort level. I think it depends on what's going on. You might have some local or some state regulations that monitor that as well. But I think as long as your clients are comfortable with it, there are definitely safety protocols that you can take, and we're going to talk about some of that towards the end here as well. But as long as you prepare and you do things like turn all the lights on, open all the doors, okay, restrict entry to maybe 3 to 4 people at a time in separate groups. Okay, we've got a party up top on the second floor. We got group on the first floor, and we got a group in the basement. When one of those people leaves, then we'll let the next group in, making sure you're wiping down things before and after. There's a lot of different things you think, but it all depends on the comfort level of your homeowners, and also depends on your comfort level, and then also what's going on with your state, your market center, your region, things like that. So
Yeah.
It's definitely a case-by-case basis, let's put it that way.
So if in turn, if I'm doing an open house and, I meet the criteria for the state regulations, so forth and so on, my client is ready and willing to go with a come one, come all approach.
Mm-hmm.
The advertising goes well, and, come 2 o'clock in the afternoon, say, for example, I have, 20 to 30 people outside.
Yep.
It is to be on the safe side to better manage that, because for like quality control purposes, is it a smart plan to maybe bring in a second agent or an office assistant or somebody like that to help navigate that and to come up with a plan to say, we're going to let these people go upstairs first and we're going to kind of rotate and cycle people in?
I think if you anticipate that something's going to be busy, you definitely want to have another agent, maybe a lender, stager, somebody else there to help out. I think that if you're a new agent, maybe you've shadowed an open house, you're ready to do your own, partner with another new agent. Okay, somebody else that's in the program as well, coaching program, and make a team out of it. Okay, definitely, especially the first couple times you're on, because then everybody can kind of learn from that, and then that's a situation where you're controlling what's going on. Okay, but you're also responsive and you're there to answer any questions. So if we're one person and you had 20 or 30 people lined up outside, that's going to be very difficult to manage at that point. So I think if you have somebody else to help you, certainly, even if you don't anticipate it being busy, it's always good to have somebody there for safety purposes or even just to talk to, and just to chat while you're there.
And one other thought. So what I've seen within my office, so it is come one, come all. It could be a big free for all, and then people just need to line up out front the door. Mm-hmm. And when you work with a partner, you could take turns. So for the first hour, Agent A is inside the house answering questions, making sure things are going safely and done well inside. And Agent B is by the front door talking to everybody and building the one-on-one rapport and figuring out who their target would be, who's not working with an agent, make sure they sign in and who they are. And then after a while switch and then let Agent A come outside to meet people and B go inside. So you start building the one-on-ones, but you also have a captive audience outside. I love it. I mean, my neighbor's house went up for sale last week. It had like 20 people standing outside in a line with a realtor going down the line. It was captive audience. So it's a great way of talking to the people that are stuck there outside waiting. They appreciate it. They're not going to be jerks and say, well, I'm going in now anyway. No one's going to do that because they're not going to get past you anyway. So you have one person inside, one person outside, and then switch it. So then you each have an opportunity to meet people as well as do the traditional realtor gig of, hey, did you see this refrigerator? Did you see this? When you do your open houses.
Okay. Part of the preparation too that we want to focus on as well is just making sure that we have a good handle on the neighborhood, the location, the town, where the house is. All right. We want to make sure that, are we near a school? Okay. Are we near a busy intersection? Is it near some place that might create a problem during the time that we're there? And we want to take a look at, what are the best times for us to have the open house? I mean, generally it's anywhere from 11 to 2, typically on Sundays, maybe a Saturday. Okay. If you take a look at other parts of the country, okay, there are other times that other states actually do open houses because that's more beneficial to them. Like Arizona, for instance, they do open houses on Thursday and Friday evenings. Okay, that's where you're going to get the most of them, just because of the fact that people want to do that at the end of the week, and they like to do other things on the weekend rather than attend open houses. Okay, but you want to have an idea of what's going on locally, what's happening around there, and just preparing for that as well. Okay, all right. So, door knocking. Right, we talked about this as being one of the steps that we're going to do here, groups, right? That we're going to do as part of our open house. All right. So with this, when we're actually there and we're talking to neighbors and we're going around and we're letting them know. All right. Gary gave us a little bit of an insight in terms of what he says. Okay. One of the things that I always encourage, one of the things that I always say is I would go around to the neighbors and I would just say, hey, just want to let you know that we're having an open house at your neighbor's house at 123 Main Street, just in case you see increased traffic, and in case you have kids, I just want to make you aware of that, just so you see it. And, and oh, by the way, we're actually having a neighbors only open house for the first half hour prior to the open house. So if we're going from 12 to 2, from 11:30 to 12, it's just for neighbors to come in. So if you haven't had a chance to see the inside of the house, or maybe if you're curious, maybe you've got a friend or a relative you'd love to have them move closer to you, why don't you come by? Check out the house. That way, get a feel for it. And if there's somebody that is interested, you can certainly, take a look at everything on the inside. And then you can also ask them too. Say, hey, do you know of anybody that might be interested in moving here? Or do you know of anybody in the neighborhood is also looking to sell? We expect a lot of interest in this house. But giving them that opportunity to come in, what that does is that eliminates the nosy neighbor who's going to come in between 12 and 2. And that's the neighbor that's going to sit there and take up a lot of your time just asking questions, but isn't serious, right? If you allow them to come through in that first half hour, maybe the first hour, get that out of the way, and then the other folks will be there just to check it out. And they're the ones who are actually actively looking or potentially looking to sell. You never know, right? So there's a script in your script books, okay? On page, I believe it is 6. They say it's 6 here, so take a look, all right? On door knocking, all right? So let's actually take a quick minute just to read this, okay? And then why don't we have somebody volunteer to do role playing, just to go through that script, talk about what it is, and see how they would handle it, okay? So let's just take a quick minute to read that so that everybody can get a feel for it, and then we'll do an actual role play with this, all right?
So what page was that on?
On page 6 of your handout, okay? Now there's also scripts in the elemental script book. If you go to the very last page, page 24, there's actually open house scripts that are in there on that page, but we'll just focus on the one that they have right here for now, okay? Anybody have a chance to read it? Kind of get the gist of what it is that they're trying to say, and anybody want to role play that?
All right, so what's the name of it again? I'm sorry, I had to go get my stuff.
It's the open house, the elementals open house, the guide that you have there, okay? And it's on page 6. It's the door knocking script up at the top part of the page there. Anybody want to role play it? This is your opportunity. This is a good way to actually get used to it. I mean, here's the thing too. We could sit here all day long and we could read these scripts and go through all of them. All right. But if we actually role play it, we're not going to learn it. And then until we actually go out and do it for real, we're really not going to internalize these. Okay. That's the best way to do it, to get the experience so that we can internalize it though.
I'll do some role playing.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it, Nicholas. So I'll be the homeowner. All right. So if you want to knock on my door and go through the script, let's go right ahead.
All right, perfect. Do I have to use the guide script or should I use my own script?
You know, use something that you feel comfortable with. Okay. I mean, this is just a template for you. It gives you kind of the format that you might want to use and things you might want to touch on. But based on what, Gary and I have said, maybe you can incorporate some of those things as well. So it's up to you.
Yeah, I kind of used it to customize my own when I do go out door knocking.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Okay, good.
All right, awesome. So, knock, knock.
Hello.
Good afternoon. I'm Nicholas Sabino with Keller Williams, and I'm just walking around the neighborhood to introduce myself. I'm constantly working with buyers and sellers, and I was just wondering if you were willing to grab a card.
Yeah, sure. We're not looking to sell our house, Nick. So, but we'll keep the card in case anything ever comes up.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Even if you ever have any questions, give me a call. I love to talk. Even if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate as well, it'd be helpful if you could throw my name out there.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. We'll put the card on the refrigerator. Sounds good.
Awesome. And what is your name?
My name's Darren.
All right, Derek. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It was a pleasure speaking with you today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully.
Okay, perfect. Great. Thanks, Nicholas.
All right. You have a great day.
Now, one of the things that we want to incorporate, though, is the open house, right? We want to talk about the open house, letting them know that we're having that so that they're aware of it.
Yeah, mine wasn't customized to the open house. Sorry about that, Darren.
No, that's okay. Yeah, if you're generally going around, what I would even say too, if you're going around and you're doing that just generally, just doing the geographic farming and you're door knocking and stuff, what you want to do is you want to go around and you want to, number one, talk about what's going on in the market. Okay, explain to them, have numbers and stats, talk about what's happening. Number two, ask them, say like, do they know of anybody in the neighborhood who's looking to sell? Okay, don't have to ask them directly, but just ask them anybody in the neighborhood and develop that rapport with them, and then leave them with something other than your card. Maybe there's something you have, like a printout, something from maybe the Keller Williams magazine that you can customize in designs, something like that you can leave with them, coming from contribution. If we're doing this from the open house perspective, right, our main idea in doing that is to make them aware of the open house. You know, a lot of times neighbors may not talk to each other and may not understand. So if they're not getting that information, it's up to us to make them aware of it and to invite them to the open house, or to see if they know of anybody like themselves or anybody else who might be looking to sell. Okay. All right. So anybody want to role play that?
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
When you said print out stats and bring it with you, what stats are you referring to, and how do we get them?
Well, you go into MLS and you can actually find out what's going on either in the town or in that specific neighborhood. Take a look at closed transactions. Okay. Take a look at the closed transactions for the past month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever you think. And just say, if there's anything that's localized in there, point things out. Say, you know, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, but your neighbor's house over there on Maple Ave, on 123 Maple Ave there, you know, sold in 3 days and it's sold for $5 grand over asking price, you know. Your neighbor over here, 2 streets over, this happened, you know. Overall, the town has less than 1 month's worth of inventory here. So we know that there's plenty of buyers and not enough sellers. So if there's ever a better time to sell your house, you know, today's the day. This is the thing. So if you happen to know of anybody, you know, we'd love to help them out because we've got plenty of disappointed buyers out here and things like that. So what you're doing is you're letting them know what's going on, and then you're firming that up with numbers, the data behind that to help support that. Okay.
And if I could one plus that, if you were to go in MLS and you should, first of all, before doing an open house, you should know a little bit about that neighborhood. And you pull the statistics from MLS on, you know, active listings in this neighborhood or what's sold in this neighborhood. You'll get a general idea of the pricing for that area. So you'll know, and you'll also be able to see days on market, days to offer, average dollar per square foot, if that's something that you like to have as a number. But the more you can know, like a general, because people are going to ask you questions, they're going to think you're the you know, the local expert, you know, the economist of choice. So if you know, just like Darren was saying, you know, you go in and you pull up the town and then you pull up sold for the last month, and it's going to give you on the very, very bottom, it's going to give you all the statistics that you really want to know. How many houses have sold? You know, what's the average list price to sale price? You know, that's really kind of exciting when you can tell somebody, oh my God, homes are typically going at 101% of pricing, you know, to offer. So you can kind of talk a little bit about that, because people will ask you more general questions. One thing I've always liked to do is talk more in very casual terms instead of saying we have a month's worth of inventory, which I don't think many people that are not in real estate will understand what that means. It might be more effective to say, you know, homes are going under contract within 13 days at over asking. So it kind of piqued their curiosity a little bit more when they hear things that might affect them a little bit more particularly.
That makes sense. Thank you.
And you know where to find that, right? At the bottom of MLS, you can find all the statistics when, you know, the very, very last line after all the homes that populate and the listings that populate for whatever search you're doing. At the very, very bottom, we'll have like just the generality, the statistics underneath it. So it's something really good to know.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yes, I just found it.
Okay. Anybody want to role play the door knocking scenario with an open house?
I'll do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Matt.
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, cool. Yeah, hi there. It's Matt Costa here with Keller Williams, and I just wanted to take a brief moment to introduce myself. How are you today?
Good, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. I'll be super brief. You may have noticed that the home a few doors down is for sale, and I just listed it this week and made a commitment to the sellers that the entire neighborhood would know about the new listing. So I'm just walking around the neighborhood promoting some awareness of the home. And also, I just wanted to mention that, you know, homeowners often might know someone that might be looking to move into the neighborhood. I wasn't sure if you knew anyone interested in moving down here.
You know, that's a great question. I've talked to my wife because I think her aunt is thinking about moving up here, but we'll have to check on that and we'll let you know.
Oh, that's super great. That's super great. I'm going to give you some information on the house. I'd like to invite you to the open house this weekend if you have some time. And before I leave, I'd like to give you my card if that's okay. Just to contact me if you have any questions. If you know anybody who'd like to get some information on real estate in the neighborhood or the area, you can give me a call. I'd be happy to help you. And also, you know, there's going to be a lot of people coming in and out of here. If you see anything irregular, or if something, you know, displeases you, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'd be happy to help you out with that.
All right, perfect. No, thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. That sounds good.
All right. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure meeting with you. I look forward to seeing you at the open house, hopefully, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So how'd that feel? How'd that sound?
I think it was okay. I've been practicing some of the scripting, you know, and just to get the overall dialogue. And, you know, I think eventually I'll be able to tailor it and just, you know, make it more interpersonal, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. So the more you practice, the better you're going to get. And when you actually go out and do it for real, you're going to get really good. You're going to get really good because that's when, you know, everything comes right, comes all together at that point.
Cool. Thank you.
Definitely. Definitely. It was good. It was very good. It was very good. It felt natural and conversational to me. So perfect. So anybody have any questions at this point? Gary, do we have any questions in the chat at all or anything?
Nope. So I was looking for the script book. I just sent out the script book to everybody.
Okay.
It's in there as well.
Perfect. Okay, good, good. Any other questions that anybody has, at least at this point here? Okay, we'll tell you what, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a 5-minute break for right now and stop the hour? All right, so it's 10:03 on my watch. So why don't we come back at 10:08 and we'll pick up where we left off. We're jumping into prospecting at this point, okay? All right, sound good with everybody? All right, perfect. We'll see you back here in 5 minutes, all right? Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody ready? Everybody back? Everybody all set here? We all good? Okay. So now we're on to the second step. Okay, we put in the preparation. We know what we have to do. Now what we want to do is we want to go out, we want to prospect. Okay, and prospecting, all right, is us getting the word out there, okay, about the open house. We want as many eyes in the door and feet on the floor, right? We want to get as many people in there as possible, right? Get that word out because it helps us to market the home, sell the home, and build up our contact database, right? So one of the things that we can do is we can actually go into campaigns in Command, all right? And we can do a social ad campaign highlighting the listing itself, all right? That way, what this does, this gets the word out to all those people we may not be connected with in our social media, right? Doing a social ad helps us to get that word out. So those folks that may see it, if they're looking for certain things on Facebook or wherever it is, may be able to actually see that there's an open house, like pictures, and attend, right? And one of the things we do when we go in and we actually create the campaign is we actually have a campaign name and we also have a goal. And for us, this is event awareness in those goals. So when we go in and we select that, we're going to give it event awareness as the goal, and we're going to select the platform that we want: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and put it out there. Okay. Now, campaigns like this, you know, we can have one running once, twice a week, depending on how you want to do it. If you want to use different pictures, as we talked about earlier, but it's a great way to get the word out there for those folks that you don't know. Okay. So when we're promoting and we're hosting the open house, okay, it's all about going out there and getting the word out and developing that rapport and making that connection with potential folks who are going to be coming through. Okay. So first thing that we do when people come in, right, we're going to build that rapport. We want to let them know that we are the real estate specialist, right? We want to let them know that we're here to answer any questions they have. Okay. We want to make sure that, hey, would you like a personal tour of the house if we have the opportunity to do that? Or would you like to look around on your own? Okay, if you're going to look on your own, make sure you check out the master bedroom on the second floor. It's got the gas insert fireplace, blah, 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 whatever, something like that, right? Okay. We want to give them a firm handshake if we're able to shake hands again. We want to look them in the eye. We want to make sure that we are basically there as open and inviting as possible. Okay, make it easy for them to talk to us. Now, you're going to have a lot of people that are closed off, okay, and it's going to take a while for them to warm up. There are going to be people that really aren't in a position to talk. That's fine. Okay. Everybody's different, but as long as you maintain your composure and you're basically coming in with your confidence and your knowledge and you're talking to them and you're being professional, that goes a long way, right? We want to make sure that our guests are signing in. If you have a sign-in sheet, okay, if you have a sign-in sheet, you want to make sure that you have something on there saying, do you have a signed agreement with an agent? And if they say, you know, get yes and no, and if they circle yes, ask them, have a box next to it. If so, who? The key thing to that is if you just put in there, are you working with an agent? Everybody's going to say yes. It's like walking into a furniture store or any store. Can I help you? Just looking. Working with an agent? Yep. Just so that I don't get bothered with calls, right? Okay. However, if you ask them to identify who their agent is, that goes a long way. If they can put the name down there, then that's great. Because later on, we're not going to follow up with them. We're respecting that. That's a professional relationship. We're respecting that. We may send them an email saying, hey, great to see you today. If your agent wants any more information, have them contact me directly. But if they say yes, but they can't put that agent's name down on there, what do you think that means? How strong of an impression has that agent made on them? If they have a signed agreement with an agent, they can't remember their name. What does that tell you? So if that's the case, I would add them to my contact list, okay? I would be somebody I would reach out to. They may have just defaulted and they said yes, but they don't have a name. Either way, but make sure you have them sign in. Now, we talked about earlier, some folks have used technology for signing in. If you're going to go that route and you're going to have an iPad as opposed to a piece of paper to sign in, all right, make sure that somebody's monitoring it and holding it, all right? People who come into open houses are notorious for walking away with things. You know, first time I did an open house, I had 2 pens. One disappeared, and the other one, I saw a woman put it in her pocketbook. I say, hey, I need that. I don't have any other pens, right? Okay, so iPads can definitely be stolen. So make sure that something like that, that somebody is monitoring that and watching that, all right? Now, qualify leads, asking probing questions, identifying willingness. All right. What sort of questions are we going to ask? Not just probing questions, but what kind of questions are we going to have them? Are we going to ask them? Are they going to be yes, no questions? What brings you in today?
Open-ended questions.
Exactly. Open-ended questions. You know, things that get them talking. Listen, if there's not a lot of people that are there and you have this quality time to interact with them, take advantage of it, right? Have the conversation with them as long as they're willing to do that, right? Don't force them into it, but make sure that you are basically talking to them and you're asking them and you're just getting some information. So, what brings you out today? When were you actually looking to purchase a home? Okay. Things like that, all these different things, open-ended questions. One of the things that I've heard, and this was actually said by Ben Kinney, who is actually a team leader. He's got a big team out on the West Coast. They're up in the northwest corner of the country. He basically says when somebody comes in, it's like, hey, you're either one of two people. Number one, you're either a seller who is walking in and you're curious about the value of your home, or number two, you're a buyer and you're just looking to see what's out there. So which one are you? Straight and to the point. But that's how he operates. But he's got his own line. That's how he basically builds that rapport in the beginning. May not work for everybody. That certainly works for them. Okay. Then the third thing we want to do is we want to provide value. All right. We want to go there and we want to show them. It's like, listen, we are a real estate specialist. We provide value. So there's information that we have there. Okay. We talked about it earlier. Gary had mentioned some of the things that you have there. All right. If you have, comps, basically homes that have sold in the area, homes that are still active. All right. You've got information from Keller Mortgage or from a lender maybe that you're working with. All right. You have a neighborhood snapshot, which is something that we can get in command. Okay. You go into designs, you can get a neighborhood snapshot on what's on there. Right. You want to make sure that you have all that information. So you're showing like, listen, I have all the information about this house. I know what's going on in the market. So ask me anything. And don't be afraid too. If somebody asks you a really esoteric question, just say like, something, great question. Let me get your contact information, just verify it here so that I can get back to you with that answer, right? Absolutely. But you want to provide value. We're always giving. We're not asking, okay? Not asking for anything them other than questions, just to probe where they're at least at this point, okay?
Derek?
Yeah.
One of the open-ended questions that I find really useful, because it really gives so much information to you as the agent, is how did you hear about my open house?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Because they're either going to say, my realtor told me about it, or if they say, oh, I found it on Zillow. Oh my God, that is the best thing to hear in the world, because then you could say, ooh, why aren't you connected to the multiple listing service? That's how Zillow gets their information, and then you can start building a dialogue with them, like, let me just hook you up directly to MLS, however you want to say it. You get their basic information, but you're getting their information. And you know that no realtor is really helping them if they're saying they're getting it from Zillow. So by saying, how did you hear about it? There's so many different parts of the conversation. You could say, hey, you know what? I do so much marketing. I just want to know, how did you hear about it? Did you see it on Facebook? Did your realtor tell you about it? And it kind of just sets you a little bit apart and gives you the information.
Yeah, that's terrific. That's really good. Sometimes you'll see that on a sign-in sheet. How did you hear about this? How did you hear about this? So that's a great way to have that interaction with them, because then you're basically getting your information just by the answer that they give right there. So that's fantastic. That's really good. So, but either way too, if you're talking to folks, all right, we basically want to go about 3 to 5 layers deep whenever we're having these conversations with them. And you're asking them questions. Just say like, listen, were you buyer or seller? I'm a buyer. Okay. Didn't really get much information. Start asking why questions, or tell me more about that, or what were you looking to do? Things like this, so that you start diving in. Maybe you find out that what they're trying to do is they're trying to downsize, or right size as we call it, because the kids are now in college and they are actually looking to plan for a smaller place like a condo, so that they don't have to worry about things, taking care of the outside of the home, things like that. All right. But you ask more of those questions to kind of dive in and see how you might be able to help them out. Okay. But those are basically going like 3 to 5 layers deep. And just, basically if somebody gave you an answer, if you just kept asking why, I wouldn't recommend that. You can phrase it better, but you can get more information from them on that front. Okay. All right. So here's a good way to actually capture the information. You've got a sign-in sheet right here. Okay. An example of this. All right. And I'm sure your market center probably has it, or maybe there are teams or other agents in your market center that have things that you can actually tap into. and make your own, or you can create one on your own, okay? But basically, you get their information. Now, if they're signing in, if I have the time and I'm right by the sign-in sheet, what I will do is I'll verify the information, because a lot of times people will just put bogus information in there, right? You know, their name, their email, maybe they'll miss, you know, the number will be off by 1 digit on the phone, but I'll verify that. And I'll let them know, say like, hey, listen, I just want to double check this information because either you had a question that I want to follow up with, or I want to keep you informed of what goes on with this house. So if you do have interest, I want to let you know if it happens to go under contract this weekend. So is your name John Smith? And is your email address jsmith@gmail.com? Phone number is 555-1234, whatever it may be. Okay, just to verify that. All right, and if you have to, you can actually correct it on there. You know, if they're putting it in on an iPad and you've got it monitored right there, I mean, most of that information is there and it's all in place. Okay, but what other questions have people seen? If you see this as your sign-in sheet, are there any other questions besides even what Gary said that maybe you want to put on here? Or do you think that this is pretty comprehensive?
Well, yeah, there's not any really place to put on if they're working with an agent, like who they're working with.
Right,
So-
that's true. Add that line in there. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Certainly. Right. And then what do we do with this information? You see what happens? You see on the left-hand side there? What do we do with this information once we get it? If they are not working with a realtor or they can't name who their realtor is, what are we going to do with them?
I'm on our contact center.
Put them in contacts, right? Get them on smart plans. There are, well, I want to say maybe about 30 or 40 open house smart plans that are out there. So all you got to do is put them on the open house smart plan, and that's actually going to give you a schedule of when to follow up with them, right? Put them in your contacts, put them on the open house smart plan, and then every day check your task and let you know when to call them, text them, reach out to them, whatever it may be, right? But we want to get them in there. One of the things that we can also put together too in designs is our neighborhood landing page. Okay, and this is also a great way to capture information. So if you happen to have basically a laptop with you or an iPad, you can go into the consumer applet on command and you can add a landing page, and it can either be attached to your website or it can be a separate page altogether. And what you'll have in there is maybe you'll have the listing information, the house, the photos and details in there. They can see it. Maybe have a map where it's located, things like that. And you can also put in a little lead capture form as well. Okay, and then that way, what that'll do is that's an additional way to capture their information as opposed to the sign-in, right? And what that does, that information goes to you, but it's another way for you to add some value, to show them technology-wise that it's in there. Because when you go into the landing page and you create your landing page, you pretty much have a blank canvas, and they have widgets that you just click and drag over for whatever it is you want to do. All of these things are pre-filled out, and it's very easy to create that, save it, and then while you're there, have the computer open, help them type it in, or you can type it in yourself, something like that. But what you're doing is you're giving them the information. They're basically seeing it on there. And the best part is you get their contact information as well too. Okay. Safety first, right? Safety is paramount when it comes to open houses. Okay. And if you are a new agent, okay, and if you're not familiar with how the open house process is, you're not familiar with a neighborhood or anything like that, bring another agent with you. All right. Bring somebody else, a lender, anything like that. I've had agents that got an open house at the last minute, weren't able to really properly prepare for it, but what they did was they brought a spouse or a significant other with them, okay, just to be there to help monitor. Okay, sometimes those things do come up. But you want to make sure that you have good understanding of what's going on in the neighborhood, around the house and everything like that. You take the necessary precautions, all right? So never park in the driveway, just park in the street, okay? The driveway is there for the clients to come in so they can get out and have access to the home. But what it is might be a necessary escape route, unfortunately, if something happens, right? Go around, introduce yourself to the neighbors. We do that through door knocking, or maybe if you didn't get a hold of some of the neighbors and they happen to be out while you're setting up for the open house, just go over and talk to them, right? Never turn your back on a prospect. That's key. Always let them go first into any of the areas. When you're showing homes or when you're doing an open house, let them go first, okay? Understand where all the exits are in the property as well. All right, don't ever get locked down in the basement or anything like that. Okay. Obviously, let people know where you are, when you'll be done. Great thing is by posting it on social media, right? Everybody knows where you are at that specific point. All right. And make sure you've got a fully charged cell phone. That's key. That is imperative right there. Okay. What else? What are some other safety protocols that people can take care of? Anybody have any other ideas?
Hey, Darren, I
Yeah.
had a little bit of it was no reason to be scared, but I had like 10 minutes left of an open house, and all of a sudden this big black truck pulls up and guy comes out, and I didn't know who was going to come out of it, and it was just one guy, and I got a little nervous, and so it was my first time really being a little nervous.
Okay.
And I just made sure that, when he went into a room, I said, go ahead in. I didn't go in. I just let him go in and look at it, and I stayed I always kept ahead of him so that I could go out the door. So, but he turned out very nice, but it was an eye-opening for me that, oh, you can get yourself in some situations.
Right. And never judge a book by the color in terms of, what's going on. You may see somebody who's like, big guy, and you may get nervous about that, and he may turn out to be a teddy bear. And then you may have somebody that comes in that looks like a frail little old person, and they may be somebody who creates more havoc, more problems for you. So you never know. All right. So always just be prepared for everything and anything, and just make sure that, most importantly, that you're not by yourself. Okay.
You're not required to go into the basement. You don't have to go in the basement. You can open the door, let them go, come on back up. If you have any questions, I'll answer it for you. But I typically, when I've done classes before, I tell people, don't go alone in the basement. You don't need to. It's a basement.
Yep.
They're going to look at the mechanicals. Unless, they're going to ask you a question, they're going to ask you a question, but you don't need to be, to me, that's a little risky.
Yes. Yeah, definitely be mindful of that. All right. Don't go in the basement. If you don't feel safe, just don't. Okay. It's not going to make the difference for the sale of the home. Let's put it that way. All right. So just safety first more often than not. Okay. Now pursue. Okay. The follow-up and convert. Okay. You see the lead generation funnel that we have here. Okay. And you'll see that, basically nurturing the leads. Okay. Following up with them. You hear the statement, the fortunes in the follow-up, right? You want to make sure that you're continually following up with people. And don't get discouraged. If you met somebody at an open house, you got a great conversation, everything's going well, they don't have an agent, and then you reach out to them afterwards. You send them an email or a call or a text, and they're not responding. Okay? Don't become discouraged like that. People have lives, people have things going on. You never know what happened. As soon as they left, maybe they got word that, something came up and they've got to handle that situation, and they've got this family issue here, so things came up. So kind of put it on the back burner for the moment. But when they're ready, they'll reach out to you as long as you maintain that contact with them. So you put them on a smart plan, you follow up with them on a regular basis, and then just continue to have them in your plans and following up with them. I've had plenty of people, okay, that you talk to at an open house, and they're like, yeah, we're getting ready to buy, whatever the situation may be. And then you reach out to them and nothing. And you think like, all right, well, they must have gone with another agent. Then 9 to 12 months later, they call you up and it's like, hey, yeah, you know what? We just need to get our finances in order because this, that, or the other thing happened, but we're ready to buy now. We're the people that you met at that open house at 123 Main Street. And you're like, oh, sure. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, absolutely. Right. It happens. All right. But people have things that are going on, but just maintain that follow up with them. Okay. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to help you out. The more people you put in your database and the more people that you maintain that contact with, that's how you're going to get that business. All right. People will reach out to you when they are ready. Right. But again, these are conversations that you want to have with them when they're there. Okay. Diving into their time frame. Right. When are you actually looking to move? When are you actually looking to buy? Okay. What's your time horizon here? And do you have things in line? Have you talked to a lender? Right. Things like that. All of that's, to get more information about what their time frame is and how active they are in actually doing that, how proactive they are. Okay.
Can I just jump in one more thing on follow-up? To make yourself stand apart, another good thing that I've had my agents do, when you're following up at the end of the night and going over your list and your sign-in sheets, I've had agents actually text a video thanking them for coming to the open house. So they make a video, they send it as a text. You're not talking to them, you're not actually active on the call with them, but you're just saying, hey, thanks for coming to 123 Main Street. Just here's my direct contact. You now can just call me back if you have any questions, whatever you want to say. But very few people will do that. And we've had great success by something as simple as just texting them a video, make a video and text it to them.
Right.
So it's not just a text, it's not an email. They see your face, they hear you. And I bet you're probably the only one that's done that.
Yeah. Video is the way to go. Everybody loves video, right? That's the thing too. Even if it's a quick, 20, 30-second videos thanking them, like Gary said, that's perfect. That's a nice personal touch because that's what we're in the business for, right? We're solidifying those one-to-one relationships with everybody. We just don't want to be the person that generically sends out an email and then that's all we do, right? We want to have that personalized touch with our clients, right? That relationship, and that helps solidify that. So that's excellent. Good idea. Very good idea. Okay, so let's get into best practices for an open house, right? What are some things that we really, can incorporate into our open house to make sure that, we get the best out of it as possible, okay? Number one, we can host a speaker, right? What type of people can we have in there as a speaker, or maybe somebody who can come in who can offer some information? What sort of people would you think that we could bring in?
You could have a lender come in.
Lender? Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Who else?
Closing attorney.
Closing attorney? Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Who else?
Somebody for decorating ideas. If a woman can't commit, comes in and can't picture how her house would look.
Sure, interior decorator, definitely.
I've actually been to some.
Another real estate agent.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying another real estate agent that can come in and greet people and talk about the property.
True. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I grew up in Bristol, and there's a lot of historical houses there. There were some houses that were on the market where I just went to them when they were open, and they've actually had the agent actually had like a town representative come to the open house and speak to the historical aspect of it. So I found that interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And there's always, things that you have to go through. Historical Society will have you, okay plans with them before you actually do any renovations or change colors and do things like that. So you want to, monitor those restrictions, and having somebody there, that's definitely good. Good. Awesome. So how about offering a gift, right? Okay, maybe we can raffle off a basket, for people who come in and they put their name on the card, say like, hey, listen, at the end of the open house, we'll have a drawing and we'll select somebody to, have this basket. Or maybe it's a discount on services from the person who's there. Maybe it was a stager, maybe it was a decorator, maybe something like that. Or if it's a contractor, they come in, you're like, hey, give you, a certain amount of money off of any services that they offer. Okay. One of the things that, a couple things that we can do, if you go into designs, there are actually templates that are in there that you can use for open houses where people can go through and they can rate each of the rooms, and you can customize that chart right there, so it keeps them interactive. They're going through and they're rating it, and they say what they like and what they didn't like about each of the rooms. You can do a scavenger hunt in there as well too. So make a list of things saying like, hey, especially if they have kids, just say, hey, you go through the house, see if you can find all these items that are in there. Okay, things like that. Make
Also,
sure you get.
if you offer a gift, they'll give you their right email.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get the correct information when it involves giving away something. You'll make sure that you get that right information on that. Absolutely, great point. So get the house in showing shape too. Make sure that you're there, you go in and you want to get there early enough so that you can walk through the house, okay? Make sure there isn't anything that's blocking the doorways or walking around. And make sure it's presentable. Make sure that, if there's anything in there that you need to basically fix up or tidy up, that you do that. However, keeping that in mind, make sure you put things back the way they were as well. All right, either take a picture or a mental note of what's going on, put things back in their place so that you didn't disturb something that the client gets upset about. All right. And the last thing too, go live. Go to Facebook Live. You see plenty of videos with folks that are standing outside of their open house and they're saying like, hey, come down here. I'm here. It's great weather, blah, blah, blah. Come on down, take a look at the house, maybe walk through it real quick, whatever you want to do. But, it doesn't have to be perfect. We talk about videos and going out there, putting yourself out there. Yeah, it's out of your comfort zone, but put it out there so that people can see it. Everybody loves those videos. They'll click on it. And if it's a short video, it piques their interest. Okay. It may be awkward, but you want to go out and you want to do it anyway. All right. All right. So here's some best practices for hosting. Okay. A lot of this may seem like common sense, but you'd be surprised. I actually had one agent who told me a short while ago that she went with her clients to an open house, and the agent was sitting in a chair at the front door reading a book. Didn't greet them when they got there and said, hey, help yourself, take a look at the house. Didn't even say anything when they left. Really poor. Obviously not a KW agent, but really poor, okay? You want to go above and beyond because this is what's going to help you with your business and it's going to show you your professionalism. So welcome visitors at the door, okay? We just talked about that. If you can't do it, have somebody there to do that, right? Be warm, inviting, greet them, have confidence, right? Get the house in showing shape. Make sure you get there early enough to walk through there, go through, fix anything, adjust anything that needs to be done. Make sure that you're thinking safety first, right? Always, always, always know where the exits are. Don't go in the basement, things like that, right? Things not to do, all right? Let the homeowners know if you're the listing agent or if you're not the listing agent, make sure the listing agent tells the homeowners, don't leave anything of value out there, right? Don't leave jewelry out there and don't sit there and put things out that could potentially be stolen, right? There are people that purposely go to open houses looking for things like that, all right? Don't have messy meals or snacks. If you're going to bring something, make sure that things are wrapped or make sure that they're not out in the open. Make sure it isn't anything that might melt or be sticky, you know, and kids grab them and then they start touching everything and the furniture and all that. Just be mindful of that. All right. And again, like we said, don't make assumptions. When people come in, if they look like maybe they can't afford the place, you may sit there and be surprised to find out that they actually have a wealth of money and, you know, this is just who they are. Okay. Don't start making assumptions about everybody and just have an open mind with everything that's there because you never know. You never know. In this business, okay, you should never judge, never be judgmental because more often than not, you're going to be proven wrong if you start going down those paths. Okay. So these are just things to keep in mind. But again, a lot of this is common sense, right? If we're trying to put our best foot forward, there are a lot of things that we're going to do and not do that are on this list here. Okay. Make sense? We good? All right. So when we're there at the open house, all right, and there are things that we want to bring, all right, we've got a lot of different things that are here on this list. So you see right here for safety purposes, right, we've got disinfecting wipes, okay. Oops. You may have toilet paper, okay, that may be something you want to bring, paper towels, pens, air freshener, bring plenty of pens. Like I said, they tend to walk away. Make sure you've got business cards, all right, make sure your battery's fully charged, you've got a backup power source. Measuring tape. What I like to do is they actually have digital measuring tapes now that you can get them at Lowe's for like $40, but it's a small little unit and all you do is you hold it up against one wall. It shoots a little laser beam to the other side. It gives you an accurate measurement. So if people are looking for, hey, you know, I had this happen. Somebody thought the garage was smaller than it was. So we actually use that to measure it, come to find out it's actually the size that it should be. So things like that. Trash bags, all right, tissues, gloves if need be, maybe booties for the feet here, okay? But what are some other things that you want to bring with you? We talked about a lot of them today, but what are some things that you want to bring with you in addition to what you see here?
Oh, you want to bring your forms.
Yeah, your forms. What kind of forms are you going to bring?
Well, you have to have agency disclosure
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have it displayed.
Mm-hmm.
You want sign-in sheets
Right.
to gather information.
Yep.
And you also want to have contracts ready.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know, they may want to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And also a buyer's agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those things.
Yep. How about disclosures for the property? How about a flyer for the property? Maybe something they can take back with them. You could have a binder that has some of the more detailed information, okay, and they can look through that, but at least they've got a flyer with general information right there, okay? What else? What are some other things?
I found that I could use a broom sometimes if the house is empty.
Mm-hmm. Could be. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Certainly. Yep.
Currently, you could have tossed away masks just in case anybody comes, because right now we need to wear masks. So just in case somebody comes on the fly and they're like, oh, I forgot mine, but I really want to view the property. You don't want them to get discouraged.
Right. Right.
It's cheap enough. Bring some disposable ones.
You got it. Absolutely. Masks are perfect. Perfect.
Sign-in sheets, booties.
Mm-hmm. Yep. How about comps? Okay. Houses that have closed in the area, houses that are active in the area, so you can show them your competition, right? So they can get an idea of what's out there, right? Okay. Make sure that you have signs out in front. You've got balloons. You've got all of that. Maybe you can bring small water bottles if you want. Maybe you can bring, you know, wrapped goods, you know, depending on how comfortable you feel with that. Okay. Snacks, things like that. All right. One of the agents that was big on open houses, what he would do is he would actually have a bowl of snacks there, but then on the separate side, he'd actually have a bowl of candy. So you get the inevitable children that come in, and they're all upset and they don't want to be there. You got things going on. Ask the parents, say, hey, you got a lollipop here or something like that, or maybe something that might not be too bad. Say, would this help? Something like that. Right? One of the things that somebody had mentioned too was contracts, having blank contracts there. Okay, I will tell you from personal experience that you want to have blank contracts with you. All right. I was in a situation where somebody had come in, okay, right at the end of an open house. They loved the house. Their deal fell through earlier this morning, and their agent, the agreement was pretty much broken at that point, but they wanted to put an offer in this house. So they didn't have representation. They wanted to put an offer in. I didn't have blank forms. I said, you know what I'll do is I will actually send you something electronically. On their way home, they were speaking to a friend who knew another friend who basically met with them, had them sign that document in place, and I missed out on that opportunity. Okay, missed out on that opportunity. So now every time I go, I want to make sure that I have those contracts there so that in the event that that comes up again, I'll be prepared. All right. So make sure you have that as well. Okay. Good. That's a good list. Good list. All right. So now follow up. We talked about the fortune being in the follow-up. Follow-up is key. Follow-up is huge when it comes to this, right? And big part of our lead generation model. Okay, very rarely are you going to get an appointment. Are you going to get some sort of traction on the very first meeting, right? It's going to be in that constant follow-up where people know that you're serious and that you're offering things and they're coming from contribution that they feel comfortable enough to say like, okay, yeah, let's take the next step in the process. So the follow-up is going to be what's extremely important in this, just as it is in anything else, okay? So when you actually come through and you follow up, there's a few different people that you want to follow up with, okay? Number one, you want to follow up with a listing agent if it's not your listing, all right? What you can do is either on the back of cards or in the back of the sign-in sheet with everybody that you talked to and everybody that you came through, put a little description in there in terms of what they were talking about, what they're looking for, things that might be helpful, useful, things that they liked and didn't like about the home, what their reaction was, what their thoughts are, things like that, okay? At the end of the open house, you're going to have notes on everybody that came through there and everybody that's on the sign-in sheet so that later on in the day, you're going to send an email to the listing agent and you're going to put all of those things in there. And you're going to say, hey, here are the people that came through. Here's what they said. Because the homeowner is going to ask the listing agent what question once the open house is over. What are they going to ask them?
Any offers?
Any offers? Absolutely. How did it go?
How did
Right?
it go?
Any feedback? And if you don't have any of that for him, what are the odds that you're going to actually have another open house with that agent, right? Probably slim to none, right?
Yeah.
You're going to follow up with everybody that came through, all right? Everybody. The ones that have the agent, reach out to them, say thank you with an email. Just say, hey, if your agent needs anything, have them reach out to me. Or if they want to schedule a showing, have them give me a call, right? To Gary's point, with all those clients that are there that you can actually follow up and develop that rapport with, send them a video, a thank you video, right? Who else is doing that? It's a great way to follow up, right?
Good, yeah.
And continue to follow up. More often than not, most agents will follow up once or twice, okay? By the third or fourth time, about 80% of them won't even bother to follow up anymore. But like we said, a lot of these people have things going on in life, so they may not be able to get back to you right away. But if you continue that process and you keep sending them things, okay, they're going to remember you and they're going to know that you were the person that was at that open house and you're going above and beyond to maintain that contact, to stay in touch with them, okay? What are some other things that you can do for follow-up?
You can send thank you notes.
Thank you notes. Absolutely. Absolutely. What else?
Cool.
I liked Gary's comment about sending a video text, just because the face recognition too.
Yeah.
Would be helpful.
Yep. Absolutely. The video like that. I mean, that's perfect. That's ideal, because that's the personalized touch. They're seeing it. You took the time to send them the video. They're seeing your face, having a conversation with you, right?
Pretty powerful. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Especially since, because we're wearing masks, they may not have seen your face at all. It might be the first time they really see your face.
True. Good point.
Definitely. Definitely. Yep. Yep. Key point right there, especially in this day and age, right? But the fortune's in the follow-up. Don't give up on the follow-up. I hear so many people say like, well, I reached out to him twice and I didn't get anything. Okay.
I'm guilty of that.
What else are you going to do? You're going to keep following up with them, right?
Yeah.
Unless they get to the point where they say, hey, take me off this email list or, stop doing this. Yeah, we're just following up because we're offering to help them out, right? Yeah. They were there for a reason. They came to that open house because they're either looking to buy or to sell. One of those two instances, we're here to help them out.
Yeah. You could offer value with our new technology, which I'm kind of grappling with right now.
Yep.
Have the app.
Yep.
Where you can find out, if you have their information, you could be using the command and sending them the neighborhood watch in their area.
Mm-hmm.
So you're top of mind.
Sure. Definitely. Right.
Yeah.
Sharing the app is a big thing. It's something that we didn't really touch on here, but sharing the app is essential. So if you've got the KW app and you have folks that are in there, just say, hey, if you're interested, let me share my app with you. And what you can do is you can now search through homes if you'd like. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly. If you have a home, you can refinance, or you can refinance your mortgage, or you can actually apply to get pre-approved through Keller Mortgage if you're looking to buy a home. You can actually shop at homeowners insurance, okay? Things like that. But, being able to search and have that search be location specific to where you are, that goes a long way. A lot of people love doing it. They'll actually pull out their phones and they'll start searching for homes if they're driving through a neighborhood and see signs that are up there, right? They're going to do that.
Yeah.
Great thing about that too is that's branded to you. That's your digital business card. So you are the person that's on there. Every time they open it up, that's who they're going to see. So using the app is fantastic. And then if they didn't fill out that sign-in sheet correctly, the minute they log in there, what happens to their contact information?
Yeah.
Goes right into command, right? You get that little check mark next to their name saying that they've gone through the app. So, right.
Not to interject too much, but just while you were speaking, Darren, I tried to enter your information into command in the Kelly app. And I don't know if it's my user error or what, but it didn't go in. And since that just sparked my thought that perhaps we I don't want to skip the Kelly app. Obviously it has value.
Mm-hmm.
However, if we're just sort of circumventing it to get to the KW app, then that's a twofer. It's we're sharing our app, and then it's also bypassing Kelly and going to command. Because I thought, someone could walk in, I'll put them in Kelly, and it'll go into command. However, that didn't work as smoothly as maybe our conversation that we're saying.
Yeah. What the thing with Kelly's a little temperamental. Command is now in Kelly, but it's very cumbersome because it's not a mobile version of command. It's still the full version that you see on the computer. But they are going to be coming out with command mobile. What they're doing now is they're going in, they're reinforcing the existing command that's in there. They're making sure that everything is working as smoothly as possible. So they're going through just basically strengthening that at this point. The next step is to take Kelly and make it command mobile. So it's more user friendly on the fly when you're doing it in that regard. So right now, maybe a little bit cumbersome, to be honest with you, but I would just direct them to the app. Have them log in the app. That information will go right in that way. It bypasses that step. Okay. Now, if you have the sign-in sheet, let's say you didn't give them the opportunity, or they didn't have the opportunity to go into the app, whatever it may be, you've got the sign-in sheet. Just bring it back with you, and you can drop those names into command when you get back to your computer as well. Okay.
Well, just because I'm straddling generations here, many of us are learning, but my instructor for real estate course, I've taken the associate broker course, and he's a good old fashioned Mainer Yankee. He's like, I keep a valise of these documents, and I don't think they take up much space, in the backseat of your car, just to have some sort of backup, because that would really be no fun if we couldn't have a contract signed or. So yeah, I'm a good old pen and paper backup person.
A lot of people are. They'd rather have that, which is good, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You've got to choose what you work on. Gary mentioned earlier that they've got a younger crew that's in there, and everything to them is no paper. For some of us, we need to have that paper in front of us. We need to have that, as verification. It's old school. It's just the way that we are. But there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, as long as you get the agreement signed through one way or another, if you're working with them, then that's a key thing. And now you're able to help. You're able to service those clients and make sure that they either find the dream home that they're looking for, or they're able to sell their home and move on to the next one.
Callie, one thing that I would just jump in and say, so when I went through Ignite my first time, we were told to have a whole packet ready, have a buyer's packet ready and a seller's packet ready, keep it in your car. So like I always keep one of our folders, and I'll have everything I basically need to get a buyer under contract with me, whether it's the mandatory disclosure, the buyer's agency, or an offer. And then I always keep something about me, something about my numbers or my office's numbers. So you have a complete packet ready. So you're not scrambling to only throw stuff together. And most things aren't going to change. You're not being specific to one property. This is more about you and the basic forms. So you can keep, I doubt you're going to need to immediately emergency. I must list this house right now. They have to sign it right now. But buyers, you could do that. So keep a complete packet in your car.
Yeah, I do.
Great idea. Great idea. One of the things that you also want to consider having with yourself too, especially if you're doing open houses, is the name tag. One thing we didn't touch on, I just thought of that now. Have a name tag and wear it around wherever you go. And I've had plenty of people that have walked through stores or been pumping gas, and somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm thinking about selling. Can I contact you?" What are you going to say? No, but they know you're a realtor, right? You have the name tag. Absolutely. That's a great way to for people to know. And then when you greet people at the door, they see your name. They're going to remember that. All right.
Hey, Darren.
Yes.
When you're doing the open houses, do you keep just like the peel and stick name tags for everybody?
No, that's not necessary. It's really, especially in this day and age, people may not want to do that. But I think if you're able to remember their name, okay, use some sort of technique to remember their names, things like that, or just refer to the sign-in sheet, maybe carry it around you, something like that. I don't think you need to go that far, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I usually check when they do sign in, say after they've stepped and they're going into a room, I'll look to see if I can read their writing, and then ask for clarification.
Sure.
Maybe a spelling, or if I can't get the email, because sometimes they'll just scribble it out. So it's just, and I'll make a note, because I have a little clipboard that this person, just put their first name.
Right.
Also, somebody had mentioned that, which I thought was really cool, was on the sign-in sheet to make sure it says, "Please print." So you can read everything.
So you're going to tell people that you can't understand it over and over and over, because that's just the way it is. But what I've done, and this is my little trick. So I had the sign-in sheet, and I would let people walk off by themselves. And I always say, "Hey, listen, I don't like when people follow me around, so I'm not going to follow you around. I'm going to let you walk around. I'll come find you, make sure you don't have any questions." When they walk away, I make sure I could read their sign-in sheet. If I can't, I make a mental note that I'm going to go back and ask them that. But then what I typically do is I fold the paper in half with the lines, and I write notes on the back of the paper about that person. Red sweater, no agent, looking ASAP, or something that will jog something personally with them. So when I follow up, I could say, "Oh, you mentioned schools are really important. Here's a great website, greatschools.com," or something like that, but on the back of it. So you could write yourself a little note, but it also gives you time to look at their signature, make sure you can read it. And, I need that time. I need to make sure I can get their info more than I need to follow them, because following them is just going to piss them off.
Yeah.
That's not how I'm very, very calm, very casual. I'm Southern, I will be behind you. I'll find you, but let them walk off. I make sure I have my information that I need.
I have just a little additional insight from what Gary's saying, and it's true. Just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, once you get that written information and then they walk away, you're not chasing. I used to work in an art gallery, brick and mortar, so it's similar. Open houses are very similar in that often you get a lot of attendees, but very few people who want to actually engage. And so there are certain signifiers or qualifiers. As a person comes in, they'll give you voluntarily their information and you thank them graciously. And then they walk off and you don't bug them, and you sort of appreciate the fact that that they're there, and you take notes, like Gary was saying, some sort of like hard facts. And then you hope and pray that you have something in common, or that you can notice that, you know, something about their card when they come back around. In addition, I found through many years of sales and training of sales that it's beneficial to, when you do get engaged with someone, be a resource for them. And also don't forsake the attention that they're giving you to try and manage the room, essentially, which I don't know if can really be applied to open houses in real estate. I'll have to, you know, do that test for myself. But often I would, you know, the computer was always handy. If they wanted to know something a little bit more, I had a resource for them. And then you can do a deeper dive with one person and really create that connection that I think we're talking about. But again, every situation is different. Every person is different. But just to go further, my advice from prior experience, not open houses, but would be to see if you can do a deeper dive with that person with any information they can give you, and just to build that rapport. And then focus on them, because really you can't spread yourself too thinly, and you can't be everything to every possible client.
Definitely. No, those are good. It's good advice. Very good advice. So those are the things. You just want to make sure that you are there, you're personable, and that you ask the right questions. Okay. Get that information. Find out, you know, you're there to help them out, right? And if we just say like, hey, how you doing? Just take a look around. Let me know if you need anything. Is that really helping them out? Is that really doing any service to them? You know, you're there on behalf of the seller. However, you want to be a resource. You want to be able to help out those folks that come to the come through the door, right? Good. All right.
I thought in one of the earlier classes, there was saying there was a requirement that you had to keep them inside at all times when you're showing a property.
No, I don't know if that's a regional thing, because we do have pretty much all of New England on here. If it's a state or a town or something like that, but I don't know anything. It's not to my knowledge, Gary, unless you know something different. I don't know of anything like that, because yeah, I've had plenty of people that they walk through the house, they go out the back door on the back porch, and they're looking at the house, and maybe they walk around that way, they walk back around to the front. You know, you may not be able to do that in every scenario, but I haven't heard that. It doesn't sound like Gary's heard of that either. So.
How about, have you tried asking the person or couple or whatever as they come in, do they want to be with you the whole time to answer questions, or if they want to just be left to roam around?
Yeah, you can ask them, say like, listen, you know, if you've got the time and there's not that many people there, say, would you like a tour? Yeah, I can show you around. Or if you'd like to walk through yourself, then that's absolutely fine. Just make sure, you know, check out the kids' room with the blah, blah, whatever it is, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I also like to have one item in my back pocket that they may not see readily, whether it's an upgraded mechanical or a limestone soaking, like a bathtub that's made out of limestone, or something unusual that you're not going to necessarily know. The property lines, or if you know something, or something that you can kind of like make sure that you could kind of find them sometime during their visit. And it's just one more thing that you're not asking them, you're telling them something. Don't forget, oh, this bathtub is an insulated cast iron, or something that you would know about the house that they're not going to know by seeing, but you'll know by looking through MLS or your client or the listing agent.
Right. Definitely. Good. All right. Somebody want to actually role play this? Let's see. If I was walking in through the door, does somebody actually want to role play how that conversation would go, the type of questions you would ask? Who's up for that? Hey, this is a judgment-free zone. This is a way for us to perfect our craft here, right? And to go in and to actually, you know, get ourselves comfortable with doing this, right? Who wants to do it? Trevor, you want to do it?
Am I the agent, or am I the client coming in?
Well, you can actually be the agent. How about that? You know, I'll be somebody that's walking in the front door, and why don't we go through like the conversation, what that would be like? Does that help?
I'll try. I'm pretty new to this.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Joe, just think of it this way. You're curious in terms of what it is that brings me there, why I'm there, and then just start diving in a little bit deeper in terms of, what are the reasons? What are the things that brought me there? Okay.
Okay.
So I'll walk right in the door there. So.
Okay. Good morning. How you doing today? I'm Trevor from Keller Williams. Thank you for coming by to check out the property. What brings you in today?
I'm just, taking a look around. I saw the sign, so I figured I would stop by and see the house.
So are you a seller or are you a buyer? In most cases, it's either one or the other, somebody that's curious about comparing their own property, or somebody that wants to buy a property, or curious to see if it's something they'd be interested in. Which one are you?
No, I'm actually a buyer at the moment. I'm renting, and figure it's probably time to start looking around.
How long have you been thinking about this? Are you really serious about buying? Would you like somebody to help you out in that process?
Yeah, I started about maybe a month or so ago, and I've just been online looking at open houses, and just started the process really.
Are you aware that having a buyer agent to represent you is a good idea instead of just walking in and taking whoever's there?
So what do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of things you're going to need when you're looking to buy a house. You want somebody that's going to represent you to make sure the property, all the details are covered properly so that you don't get into something you don't want to be involved in. And buyer's agents are paid through the seller. So it doesn't cost you anything to have that. And you'll have that representation to make sure that you're protected, that your interests are protected.
Okay.
And we can sit down and talk about all the things that you want as a buyer.
All right. Yeah, how do we go about doing that then? Because like I said, I'm fairly new to this, so I have no idea. So how do we go about doing that?
Well, do you have any questions for me about that first?
If I like this house, would I be able to do something today?
Of course. It's a simple form we can fill out, talking about the agency disclosure, talking about how I would represent you in the buying process.
Okay.
And then do you even know, have you been pre-approved by a lender or a bank yet?
No, I haven't even gone that route. So like I said, I'm not really too familiar with it. But
well, the first time that I bought a property, the same thing. I thought I was just going to walk in and sign the deal, but there's steps that you need to take, and that's what we can guide you through that process. And that would be the first thing to do after signing with me, is to go to the lender. I can suggest some lenders that are very good, that can help you out, make you choose the right loan that's going to be best for you. Make sure that you can get pre-approved. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. And you might be surprised. Who knows? Maybe you're loaded. I don't know. But some people think that they can buy and they find out they can't, that they're not ready. They don't have enough down payment, etc. It's the first step that you're going to want to do in this process. Obviously, looking at properties and finding out what you're interested in. And how did you determine what you can afford?
I guess just based off of what I'm paying for rent right now. And I just kind of, just backed into a number, to be honest with you.
Okay. Do you think your finances are in order?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that would be the next step then. You find out what you're pre-approved for. Then you can decide how big you want that payment. They might pre-approve you for more than you can even imagine. That happened to me, and I was like, whoa, I'm not going that high. So I set the price of the property that I wanted to look for.
Okay.
And said, this is where I want to be. And I started looking. In fact, the first property I bought was a duplex because it would help me pay for the property. And I wanted that learning experience also.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, it sounds good to me. How do we get started?
All right. Well, let's sign this agency disclosure form right here, if you have any questions about that. And then we'll start taking a look at the property. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. And it was nice to meet you. Let's get going on this.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Trevor. I appreciate it. Let's get going.
You're welcome, Darren. Thank you.
Nice. That was good. That was really good, right? You had no idea which path I was going to go down, and you started asking the right questions, and you started digging deep and finding out exactly where I was coming from. So well done. Well done. What do we think here? What sort of questions or what sort of feedback do we have here? That was good. That was very good.
Thank you.
I like
What do
that Trevor had suggestions too, not just because Darren, you were kind of ambivalent, a little uneducated, but definitely throwing the finance card out first. And then also, you could be loaded. It's true. And then giving him some options, just get like the wheels turning in a way that gets you thinking about more than just showing up.
Definitely. Yep. It's digging 3 to 5 layers deep, right? I mean, it wasn't just so much as like, so what brings you in? You buyer or seller? I'm a buyer. Okay, that's great. We'll take a look around the house and let me know if you need anything. No, didn't end there. Kept digging into it. So.
And mutual disclosure, like Trevor, you shared something about your personal self, which I think is a really good place to be in when you're trying to get somebody to trust you with something as big as a purchase as a home. So mutual disclosure.
Well, again, I sold 2 homes and I bought a home. I mean, I bought 2 homes and sold a home. And through that whole process, I never knew that, being a buyer, that you could get an agent of your choice. I just thought you grab the one on the sign and off you go. And that's how I proceeded. And now, of course, I used the same agent after I bought my first home for every transaction. He never followed up with me. I stayed in contact with him. So he got lucky.
Good.
I like the fact when Trevor said, and you'll go for your pre-approval after you sign with me.
Yeah. Yep.
That's good.
Reaffirm that. That's good. Well done.
You brought a lot of your personality into that, which was really good. You made it more very like conversational, like, oh, the first time I did, you're kind of like relating, which is great. Yeah. They can relate to you if they're, not sure, and, they know that you've been through it. It definitely came across really genuine.
It's good. It was very well done. See, it doesn't take much. And you sound like yourself. You didn't sound like you were scripted. It didn't sound like you were salesy. It didn't sound like any of that. You were there just offering to help based on the line of questions. So that was good. That was really good.
Oh, thank you. My heart's still racing though.
See, we do this in our office. We do role play twice a day at 8:15, 9:15 in the morning. And our folks, basically, they're more nervous about doing the role play in front of their own agents and fellow peers and things like that than they are going out there. They can handle the calls with the for sale by owners and the expireds, no problem. But it's being around people who know the scripts, even though it's judgment free, we just give, just ways that we can improve upon it. Everybody gets really nervous because you're in an environment where everybody knows the scripts, right? So it can be nerve wracking, but I appreciate you stepping up and doing that. That's definitely, very good. Very good. So awesome. All right. So what sort of ahas do we get today? What sort of things did we learn? And what sort of things are we taking away from here that maybe we didn't know when we first started the day?
Lots of clarity around what to bring, what the open house is going to look like, how to follow up. So lots of little pieces, lots of little rocks to fill in. You get the basic idea, go do the house, but how to get opportunities to host them, what to bring, how to execute, how to follow up. And in terms of follow up, I think to me, I view each person who comes as a path to many other people. They may decide to use somebody else or to never buy. But they might say, you know what, this guy keeps following up. I got a friend that's buying. And so I view them as not only the lead themselves, but also a lead source for lots of other people.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing too, when we're talking to people, it's not just, them, do you know of anybody else that you can help, right? Or door knocking, do you know of anybody in the neighborhood who might also be looking to sell, right? Very good. Yeah, absolutely. What else? What else we got?
I have a quick question. Just I think a lot about that sign-in sheet when you're hosting the open house, and just from my experience too, I know a lot of people are kind of apprehensive about putting their name and number because they get the typical ideology of, oh, this guy's going to call me, he's going to light me up, right? So I was kind of thinking of a strategy, like if you have people waiting in line, maybe go out there with some water and ice and just say, hey, if anybody's thirsty, I have water here. They're all socially distanced by 6 inches apart, just to be on the safe side. I'm going to have everybody come into the house. And when you come in, I want you to sign in to our sign-in sheet. And just keep in mind that if you do, I'm going to enter your name in a $100 raffle. So it just kind of promotes them to not only sign into that sign-in sheet, but to give accurate information because they know there's something attached to it.
Yeah, and you could also tell them to say, like, listen, I'm not going to bombard you. I'm not going to sell this list. It's more along the lines of, if there's information that you find valuable, I'm going to send you a few things because we're always offering, right? Coming from contribution, maybe what I can do is send you some things about what's going on in this neighborhood, like a neighborhood nurture. I could follow up with you in case anything happens with this home here as well. Things that are useful to you. Nothing, if it gets to be too much, just let me know. That's all. Reach out to me, let me know. Right? What else?
I think for me, as kind of piggybacking off of Callie a little bit, it's being a former business owner. I kind of made the connection now with thinking that brick and mortar, right? So you're open to the general public and looking at every individual home that you're representing as you're representing that house, and that's kind of like your brick and mortar, right? And you're open to the general public, and everyone's coming in, and you have to kind of greet them the same way you would and handle them the same and process them the same. I mean, they're there for a reason, right? They're there because they want something, they're looking for something that you have. And then engaging them within that conversation and just kind of handling them the same way and giving them the correct information that they need in order to kind of feel fulfilled, and then kind of following up. So it's like customer acquisition. They're there because they want something, and you have to figure out how to keep them and follow up and do the same thing for, and then resourcing, like Callie said too. So if you have information or, at my store, we had, our computer there. So customers would ask questions that were related to what we're doing, and we could always step over to the computer and do some research for them right there and kind of go deeper into that rabbit hole, which keeps that conversation going. And it opens up new doors, and you're kind of, you're building the bond with them, and you start to find these gateways, these openings that are leading further into that rabbit hole where you want to go with them.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing too, I mean, you're providing additional service to them. You're basically giving them your attention, your focus. And that goes a long way. I mean, helping them, to solve a problem that they have. But again, you could definitely look at it like the open houses, the brick and mortar, people are coming in and you're developing that rapport and, potential clients right down the road. So, that's perfect. That's a good analogy right there. Very good.
But it can get totally crazy too. So like,
well, yes, I know.
Oh my gosh. So just be in time. I think, if you can have, like you're saying, Darren, have someone else with you. Absolutely. It's just the best practice that you could possibly have for your own safety and just for your sanity. And so if you can do it together with another person and then sort of divide and conquer in your best skill set, then, but it's true, you want to be able to concentrate on who you want to concentrate on, but then there's people pouring in. And so it's a dance.
I kind of think of it like a party, to be quite honest. It's a party at somebody else's house that you're having and there's no food or drink, but how are you at a party? You're gonna mingle around, you're going to talk to everybody, but instead of mingling around the house where people are, concentrate on where they're coming through and make sure you talk and you're nice to everybody that comes through. You're at either right by the kitchen or the front door or in the hallway that leads you where your stuff is. They're going to come past you one way or another. And I always like to think of it as a party. And, I talk to everybody and I'm not beating people down over their head to buy. But when you chat at a party, you kind of find stuff out. It's a good way of doing it that way.
Yeah. Great conversation. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of times I have my, if with my employees, we basically divide and conquer, like Callie's saying there. So if all of a sudden the doors open up and people pour in, everyone's there for kind of the same thing, but they are for different reasons and they have different questions. So that's where I pull in an employee and kind of start directing them and bringing them into the conversation, basically kind of dividing and conquering is what you're doing, is you're kind of sticking to your problem solving and resourcing at the same time and using everybody around you to kind of fill all those needs.
Definitely. Yep.
Darren?
Yep.
When you're doing those sign-in sheets, do you ever put like a little opening paragraph on there saying, something like you'd like to be a resource for the real estate needs You'd love to be able to help them out in their future with their future needs in real estate, and have like a checkbox of yes, you'd be interested in getting more information sent to them. You know, when they sign their name, put like a yes or no, do not contact me or do contact me, or is that like shooting yourself in the foot?
Well, more often than not, if people don't know what you're going to be sending them, and if they're not really sure the value that you're going to be sending them, then they're going to check off no. And that's basically, you're setting yourself up at that point for, not getting any information, or them checking off no. If you don't have that in there, then what you do is you start sending them things. If it gets to be overwhelming, they'll let you know.
Okay.
Don't talk about it.
Also, what you're going to notice is if you have a backup by people signing in, people are going to get really short tempered. They're going to write quickly to get through. They've been waiting in line to sign in.
Yeah.
So I kind of like to have, like Darren was saying, let them tell me no after I'm already sending it to them. I typically want their name, email address, phone number if it's possible, and if they're working with a realtor. That's all. That's just what I need. Everything else is secondary. But I don't want their head down on a piece of paper, because I'm not going to talk to them when they're writing and doing stuff. I want them to sign in quickly and then get back to my face.
Yeah, they've got to sit there and read something
So
too.
just
now,
one
I
other
think.
thing, Gary, that's when I start to quiz them. Like, cause it's an automatic to fill out your name and your number. So that's when I know I'm getting that information. Now I'm going in for so what brings you to this neck of the woods, or what brought you in today? And then, because people can write their name, and then that's when I'll engage with them if I have time. So.
I just wanted to add too, sorry. I actually just was shadowing an open house on Friday, and actually my biggest takeaway was the agent was writing their information for them. So like that was just the easiest way to start the conversation. She was asking their names, asking if they had an agent. She had 2 separate sheets for people that had agents and didn't have agents, but they're waiting in line anyway. She's standing at the front door. She's greeting them and getting their information. So, I mean, that's just an easy way to know that you can read their writing, but also just like, starting that conversation. I think it's like it was like the easiest in, because she got everybody talking.
Right.
I'd like to throw something in as well, just through experience we talked about a little earlier, as far as follow-ups. We would send this, we would do this marketing where we'd do this massive, we'd send out a text reminder to over 10,000 plus customers, and you can only write you have a minimal amount of text that you can put in there. So we put actually a $5 coupon. I'll never forget this, actually. We put a $5 coupon in there with just kind of a brief reminder, hey, here's $5 off your next grooming, and here you go. And it's amazing because 99%, the phone rang off the hook for 5 days straight. We couldn't actually keep up with the calls, but 99% of those calls, I noticed that people didn't even ask about the coupon. They were just happy that they got a reminder, that somebody followed up just to kind of remind them to make their appointment. It wasn't even about the coupon, which was kind of amazing to see. And that was like the header. So it wasn't like, oh, by the way, there's $5 off. I hadn't even noticed that. I was just happy I got a reminder from you. You followed up, and you reminded me of something that I needed to do. I was interested in doing, and that was it. It's kind of cool to see.
You're paying attention. That's the biggest thing. You're paying attention to them. So that's good. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Those are all great things. All terrific things right there. Good. Perfect. All right. So our 10-4, right? Are people working on this, and are people actually utilizing this, tapping into that Google sheet that's out there as well? Because you want to make sure that this is going to help you to grow your business. All right. These aren't just things that we put out there for everybody to just, kind of look at and just turn away from. These are things that are going to actually help you to grow your business. These are proven methods. All right. A lot of the top agents that you see in your office, all right, started off in this same manner. Okay. So make sure that you're staying on top of this. You're 10-4 per week. All right. Per day. Make sure you're filling out that Google sheet that's out there as well. All right. Now we get to the fun part with the scripts, right? Are people studying their scripts? Do people have script partners? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, making sure that you partner up with somebody. You have an accountability partner. You should be practicing scripts on a daily basis, right? You should be working with, either another person or a group of people, and mix it up. Go through, practice those scripts, because everything sounds great in your head. And then when you actually verbalize it, it may need some tweaking here and there. All right. So make sure that you're talking to folks that are doing that. All right. So what we want to do is we want to actually take some time now to go out and make some calls to our database, right? We should know the scripts by now. We should have a very good handle in this, and we should be comfortable with calling the folks that are out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take some time here. All right. It's about 18 after. So let's go to about 11:50. Let's give it a half hour and let's make some calls to our database. Let's call some folks that are out there and let's see if we can get an appointment, right? We're going to come back here about 10 of, and we're going to see who actually had really good real estate conversations, who actually got an appointment, who actually got some, things that can help them to grow their business, right? Because we can either do it or we don't have to do it. But then again, too, we don't have to be in real estate either. And this is the primary thing that's going to help us to grow our business, right? Proven, and it's something that we could take full advantage of here, right? So let's take the next about half hour or so. We'll go to 10 of. We'll reconvene on here, and I want to hear some good stories of some folks that had some really good experiences on there. Okay, everybody good? Perfect, awesome, thanks. We'll reconvene about half an hour. All right. So how did everybody make out? How did everybody do here? We have any happy stories? We have any good stories? We got things that we can talk about here? What happened? Anybody want to share?
Yeah, I'll share.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, no problem. So I've been actually in process because of my background. I spent over a decade in the facility maintenance and contracting business.
Yep.
So in the past week or so, I've been calling, all the companies that I know. I did a lot of work with the, local contracting companies, HVAC companies. So I kind of created like a vendor referral program. So I've been calling all the guys that I know and just kind of chatting with them, introducing myself and saying, hey, I'm in the real estate business now, and potentially a lot of the people and clients that I'm going to be working with, they might need your type of service.
Yeah.
Whether it's electrical, HVAC, plumbing, whatever the trade is. And I said, I'd love to add you to my referral list. If I can do that, and in the interim, I'd love to send you my information just so you have it. If you're out in the field and you hear anybody talking about real estate, maybe you can drop them a line and send them my stuff.
There you go. Locking in those vendor relationships. That's good. That's good. Referrals and things like that. That's awesome. Especially when your clients are sitting there saying like, hey, do you know anybody who does X, Y, Z? And you're like, yeah, absolutely. Here you go.
Yeah.
And they reciprocate back with you. So that's perfect. Well done. Good job. Good job. What else?
Well, I ended up chatting with my college roommate who lives in Yarmouth, Maine, which is where we started this call today with the $3 million home.
Yeah.
And I called her and chatted about the fact that, are you refinancing your house at least, or do you even know what you're? So it was kind of interwoven, but it was serendipitous at the very.
Good. And that's the thing too, is that, you're basically, in some ways, you're planting the seeds. You're having the conversation, you're catching up with them, which is perfectly genuine and perfectly, that's the way you want it to be. And then just let them know, hey, I'm in real estate. So if you're looking to do anything, or if you know of anybody, just, feel free to pass them my way, very casual like that. Yep, definitely. Good. What else we got? What other good stories do we have here?
Hi, I called my past clients. I had 4 of them, and just touch bases with them. And one had told me that a contractor that I worked, that recommended, he's doing work for her home because she asked if I knew of anyone, and found out that they are renting. They're renting a home. I thought that they own their own home. And so they were looking for a rental. And so I'm touching bases with him to see how I can help him. So I called Matt up, and that's how my time went.
Nice. Well, that's good. Reconnecting with a lot of old clients. All of that. That's great. Get in the habit of doing that. If you work with somebody today, you have a closing with them today, whether they're a buyer or a seller, they close today. Tomorrow, I'm still following up with them. I'm maintaining that same schedule and staying with them, right?
Yeah. I got together. I went to the store the past couple of days, and I'm putting together some bunnies, little rabbits in baskets. I'll be doing pop buys, and I'm going to get some flower seeds and garden greens because it's springtime.
Good.
And just to let them that I'm thinking of them.
Yeah.
So I got four baskets to put together this week.
Good. So we've got some good conversations that are going here. And that's the thing too, is just having those real estate conversations. You never know where they're going to lead, but you don't know unless you get out there and do that, right? You never know where some conversation might go. I've had plenty of people who said like, I really don't want to call this person, but I'll do it anyways. And they end up with 2 listings and a buyer. That's just the way it comes up. You never know what it is. And if you start to pre-qualify them before you even had a conversation, then you might be disappointed at that point because, you realize that you were going down the wrong path, right? We're judging before we actually made the call. But having these conversations, number one, it helps us forge those relationships and strengthen those relationships. Number 2, it gives us practice, right? Part of our job is lead generation and is having these real estate conversations, right? Somebody says, how's the market? We want to be able to, talk to them, right? If we're at an open house, how do we talk to people coming in? If we're calling expireds, how do we have that conversation? This is what we do. This is our job. We don't do this, we don't have anything, right?
Right.
So great to actually get out there and to get the practice and to talk to people. And it makes you feel good too. It makes you feel good. You know, reconnecting with a lot of folks, whether it be college roommate or old clients, things like that, you know, or contractors that you may have worked with in the past. It's all good. It's all good. People love to hear from us, right? We get the benefit of being able to talk to them. So good. Excellent. Very good. Those are good stories. So do we have any questions? Do we have any situation, any scenario, anything like that that we want to cover in the last few minutes that we have here at all? Does anybody have anything that they want to ask or touch base on again?
Yeah, I actually do have one question for you.
Yeah.
Brand new agent here and still kind of getting over the initial fear of just picking up that phone and making the call. But I tried calling an old friend that I went to high school with, haven't spoken to him in probably a year and a half.
Okay.
And ended up going through to voicemail. So I left him a message and I tried to make some personal connection to whatever we were talking about the last time that we saw each other. I think I remembered that correctly. And then told him that I was a new agent at Keller Williams, that I'm reaching out to my circle. And, you know, if he knew anybody trying to buy, sell, invest in real estate, please reach out. I'd love to hear from him.
Yeah.
So I left it at that, but I'm just wondering if you might have any strategies as far as leaving a voicemail to try to get the best response rate, you know, replying to that.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? I mean, like we talked about before, I mean, people are busy. People have a lot of things going on, right? People are living their life generally. More often than not, you're not going to call somebody and be like, yeah, I got nothing going on, so I'm not doing anything. So yeah, you know, we can chat whenever. Not going to happen that way. But what you want to do is, even if you leave a message and they don't call you back, at least you're connecting with them. You're the one that initiated that and you're reaching out to them. So the reason why we start off with a sphere of influence, right? People only do business with people that they know and they trust. Half the battle is won. So all we have to do is let these people know that we're in real estate and that we can be their trusted real estate advisor, their real estate agent of choice, right? And just by reaching out to them, talking to them every once in a while, that's how we maintain that presence. We also want to be doing a lot of marketing with social media and things like that, so they see that behind the scenes. If they see you posting a lot of things like, stats on a particular town, or that you can refi, or all this other stuff, they're going to see that. But even leaving a message and, say, look, you don't have to call me back. I'm just calling just to check in with you, right? If that's the first time that you've called them since you've become an agent, yeah, let them know you're an agent, right? Then wait a little while, all right? You can actually put them on a smart plan in there that'll tell you when to follow up with them with a call or with a text or anything like that. And then next time, let's say you don't hear from them, in a few weeks, reach out to them again, send them a text saying like, hey, just checking in, hoping everything's okay. Didn't mention real estate, I'm just checking in, right? People appreciate that more than anything. And it doesn't always have to be real estate. So you're not the person that people avoid when it comes to family get-togethers or barbecues, right? Because all you're going to be talking about is real estate. You want to be the person who's there like, look, question comes up, you can reach out to me. Not a big deal, They still see you posting things, so you're heavily involved in the industry, and they're like, wow, Elliot's doing a lot of stuff here. This is great. This is perfect. But, when their time comes, they'll reach out to you. But if you don't maintain that contact with them, then it may not be you they reach out to. It may be somebody else that they find on the internet. Right. So even just leaving them a voicemail saying, hey, just call and just check in. No need to call me back. Wanted to see how things are going. That's all. That way it doesn't put any pressure on them either. Right. And they're not expecting to call you back so that all of a sudden you're like, hey, use me. I'm a realtor. They don't want to hear that. It's just checking in more than anything. Does that help?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Darren, I had a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I'm working with the lead. It's an investor. It's one of his investment properties. And we've been discussing, through conversation, I'm hearing him out, and he basically he had his tenants sign another year lease, go another year with a lease, and he's still looking to sell. As far as getting into that, and having that discussion with them, part of the discussion, can you give them the information as far as saying, hey, listen, can you give the tenant the first right, as far as, is that an option to say, first right to buy the home first, kind of just going to the market first, or is it, just saying?
Yes, I mean, you can pretty much do that, but you've got to have a lawyer draft up what that is, because if it's a rent with the option to buy or rent to own sort of thing, in that situation, those can get a little tricky. It depends on where do the rent payments go. They go towards interest, principal. How do you structure that? And that's where an attorney gets in there. So that can be a little complicated, unless, you basically, you know, if you think that they may want to buy it, you want to make sure that it's a fair offer. They're going to buy it outright. So that's a discussion that they need to have with their tenants and just see how that's going to be, because it could be just a straight purchase, assuming that it's at market value and the value's there. Or if it's one of the rent to own options, that can be a little bit tricky. That can be a little complicated.
I just threw that out there as an option, you know, in conversation, just when he was looking at all the different angles that he can kind of take and what he was looking to do. But
yeah,
he's highly interested and just wanted to, you know, we're in a good conversation, but I just want to make sure I'm giving him the right information as far as what he could do, his avenues, so to speak.
Yeah, I would say that in this market, what you probably would want to do is you want to put that out there for everybody, because, you know, multifamilies, assuming that's what this is, it's a multifamily, there's a lot of interest in those nowadays. So you want to make sure that you get the fair shot at getting, you know, maximizing the value for that without going too high. Let's put it that way.
Got it. Okay, good. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions at all?
Well, I called a friend just for she's out of New York, and she has a place here in Rhode Island, and I told her what I was doing and everything, and she said that which was really interesting. She said that she's not looking to sell right now. She said, but she's always wanted a one level home. And I got information on what she was looking for, and she said they're coming up this weekend, and maybe stop by, because the house they're in has really narrow steps, and she's getting older, and she, you know, so how do I put something together like that? I mean, I'm totally like new at this. I just got my license like a week and a half ago.
No, do you have are you part of the coaching program in your market center?
I'm going Thursday, and they're going to set that all up for me.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Then what you can do is you can actually have that discussion with them. Like, okay.
Okay.
So how do I go through and, number one, maintain that conversation with them, you know, now that we know their time frame. Number two, maybe start to put things together to give them an idea of what's available out there in terms of branches, which it sounds like what she's looking for, you know, and dig a little bit deeper in terms of their motivation. You know, what are the things that are non-negotiables and what they're looking for? You know, when would they be prepared to talk to a lender if that's the route they're going down, unless, you know, they happen to have cash on hand, stuff like that. So then you start digging in and you have a buyer consult with them. So that gives you a better idea of their timing, their motivation, and what they're looking for.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
Sure. Absolutely. Gary, do you have anything else? I mean, anything in the chat at all or anything? Or? Thank you. Yeah.
I guess I should unmute. It's way better. One person actually asked about having a helper to assist at an open house or a family member. And I just want to make sure that everyone's aware, if you're not licensed, you cannot talk to people about real estate. So having a friend or a family member might be comfortable for you, but it would really be better if you can get someone from your office, you know, or at least someone that's licensed. So this way you're not committing malpractice and having somebody say something that they shouldn't know, that they shouldn't say, or kind of stepping over. But that was one of the comments was, can you have somebody else with you? So please try to get somebody from your office that is licensed. And then somebody else mentioned about, instead of having packets, use a QR code in the landing page, which will help people just log in real quickly, get the information, and you get their contacts.
Yep. That's a great idea. Very good.
If I could just add something real quick, I don't know if this will work for everybody, but it seems to be working for me, right? Because I'm a new agent too. I've had my license for like a week and a half, right? And I think the whole anxiety about door knocking is that initial rejection. So what's helped me is that I have a 5-year-old little girl, right? And I don't know if everybody would be comfortable, but it helps me with an icebreaker. If I bring my little girl around for a walk with me through the neighborhood, and, you know, I'm familiar with a lot of my neighbors, but it seems like a good icebreaker because they see my daughter, she's dressed up, she looks beautiful, and she's carrying some of my business cards with me. And I've actually attached some seed packets to them, just, you know, to represent spring. And it's just a good icebreaker, and it's a good way to kind of meet people using your kid. I don't need to sound sweet. So that's not what I'm trying to do, but it's just kind of helpful as an icebreaker. People see children and they kind of go batty.
Yeah, the other thing I would caution against that is that you probably don't want her giving real estate advice, to Gary's point just there. So just make sure she's not giving out real estate advice when she's walking around. Okay, that's the only thing I would say. But
Okay, all right, thank you.
that's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I feel bad. I cannot remember her name. And as soon as somebody tells me, it'll be like, oh, of course.
Diana Kokoska.
Diane, yeah. She would take her kids in the red wagon and pull
Yep.
them door to door. And she said the exact same thing. And she was very successful in doing that. You know, it shows.
She sold 200 houses pulling Sean Kokoska in a radio flyer. So, Maddie, I think on your business card, it should say Matt Costa Real Estate, helping the neighborhood grow, right? For the seeds.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good one. That's a good one. Everybody good? Everybody good with open houses? Ready to jump in, start doing them? Awesome. All right. Let's get as many as we can for this week and get loaded up and start adding people to command and getting things going. So that's good. That's good. All right.
Thank you. It was a great class.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
everybody for attending, staying through it all the way to the end. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
See you
much.
next time.
Darren, Gary, thank you so much for everything today. We have seller appointment with Jameson Souza tomorrow. We'll see you right back here at 9 o'clock in the morning. So focus on that 10-4. Darren and Gary, again, thank you so much for all your time and your efforts today.
Yeah. Gary, thanks for your help too.
Bye.
And Aaron, Tim, thanks again for keeping this going and keeping everything running smoothly here. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
You guys go crush the day.
Thank you.
There you go. Enjoy.
Bye, you guys.